Are we ever?
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Countless Chronicles, that show within a show where we recap the last 2 weeks of the crazy soap opera of D&D known as Countless Heroes. I am Tessa. I play Callie, formerly Pesk, and you can find me on Twitter at Selkie Dreams and on other various Nerdsmith shows. To my left is my fantastic co-host, the lovely Heather.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather. Thank you, Tessa. And I play Soxy on the show, and you can find me on Twitter at Amethyst Magic. There's also a few other things I do on Nerdsmith. There's a lot of things we all do, so it's hard to give a full list. But Geek Thyself is my podcast where you can learn all about different topics, and there's a topic of the week, so it changes constantly. And then we've got Gabby.
What's your topic for the weekend? What's your topic this week?
Oh, this week I'm doing the first Thanksgiving.
Appropriate.
Ooh, seemed appropriate.
Sorry, go ahead, Gabby.
Hi, I'm Gabby. You can find me at Twitter at BlabbyGabby. I play Nyx, formerly Seldana, on Countless Heroes, and that's literally all I do for Nerdsmith at the moment. That's all the shows I'm a part of. Actually, this is my second time here, but this time it's because I'm a totally different character.
For now, you only do one show. For now.
That was really ominous, Tessa. At
just
first,
a little.
Only a
I was
lot.
just like,
Sorry. And we have a new face tonight on Countless Chronicles, but obviously not to Countless Heroes, Mr. Caden.
I'm I'm Caden, Matt Iggles Piggles on Twitter. I play Nathaniel Brell on Countless Heroes, the Human Warlock. And for what I do for Nerdsmith is that I'm one of the artists for Countless Heroes. I did the line work for all of the character portraits, while Angela, God bless her, did all the color work. Do a thing.
I was going to make sure that people know that you are the mastermind behind all of the line art for all of the characters that you see. Caden is a champion who, especially in this round that we're going to talk about this week, because it was that week,
Yep.
Caden has done some marvelous work on a very short turnaround basis.
It was
we were
funny.
very happy for him and for him being here. So he and Angela have been champs and the king and queen of quick turnaround art changes.
For sure.
We need more for us of Nick's personas.
Oh yeah, don't worry. Those are in the works. I can promise you, Gabby, those are in the works. Listen, I went from in theater, and when I was in middle school, I went from being a 13-year-old character in Bye Bye Birdie to being Mama in under 30 seconds. You know, Mama, she's a middle-aged old lady who's cranky. I can do this quick. I can do quick changes. Y'all. Fight
It is
me.
a talent and skill.
Phoenix
Well,
says stop dying, Tessa.
I would like to stop dying. I have taken some precautions to hopefully avoid that in the future. Knock on wood. We'll see how it goes. But let's dive right in so we can get to everyone's favorite part of the show, which is the questions and the shipping. But first, always the recap. I know we've had a lot of new people joining us over the last couple of weeks due to our wonderful fundraiser for the Trevor Project through Nerdsgiving 2018. I am so pleased to announce that we raised over $3,000 across everybody who was working towards the goal to give to the Treasure Project. As always, Countless Chronicles and Countless Heroes are for charity. We support Trevor Project year round. However, this was the big first annual Nerdsgiving, and we are so pleased to be able to give back to them in such a spectacular way. So thank you, everybody. So Countless Chronicles is where we review the last 2 weeks of the show to make sure that everybody's caught up, because there's a lot. Month? August, November, month 3 going on 4 now of campaign, and we're at episode 60. So Logan is a madman and who is incredibly talented and just keeps us on our toes.
Because
five
out
days
of
a week.
everyone, he's on the show the most. I wonder why.
Yeah. Crud.
So
Yeah, we've been busy.
yeah, a little bit. So as we're going through and we're recapping, feel free to submit questions. Whoever one of us is not recapping at the moment will be watching chat to make sure we can gather your questions up to answer as soon as recap is over. And then, of course, we like to end our episode with everybody's favorite question. Who do you ship? What are your crack ships? And why?
Oh god, I'm so excited to talk about this. Oh boy.
Of course you are.
Right? This surprises no one.
No, exactly.
All
So,
right.
Heather, my love, why don't you go ahead and start us on off?
Sounds good. All right, everyone. So, like Tessa said, we have over 60 episodes so far. If you're having trouble keeping up, or if you want to do a written recap instead of having to watch the 4-hour videos, because I know, like, personally, I wouldn't always have time to do that, then we do have what we call the Adventure Journal on the Countless Chronicles website at nerdsmith.org, and then you just go to Content and Countless Chronicles. So you can find written recaps there, which might be easier to get through quickly if you're trying to catch up. And let's start off with episode 59. It was in-game Renaris 28th. Out of game, it was November 6th. So this session had Owen, Syl, Soxy, Rosie, Pip, Nyx, and Yoth. It was right before the elections, so over the weekend there had been a lot of campaigning, and there had also been a lot of rumors that the inspections of the new boat lift built by the Snow Queen, who was the Queen of the Winter Court of Fae that we dealt with previously, that they were inspecting it and everything looked good and it should hopefully be operational soon. Pinball and Rydell, who was Saldana's father, had also been spending a lot of time promoting each other in the Pearl District instead of themselves, even though either one would be a good option. Ezra, the druid who helped bring back Callie for us, has decided to run for the Temple District. He also brought back Mari originally. And then, of course, Vassifra is running for the Guildsman District. And there's not really anyone running against her because she's so powerful. And Holly was going to be in charge of the Dawn District, most likely. Each district had... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like how you said brought back Callie, except for that hasn't happened yet, as of this date.
Oh, that's true. It hadn't happened by this date yet. But he had brought back Mari already.
This is true.
Yeah. So on election day itself, each district had decided on their own methods for doing the election. Some of them were doing really strange things. Some of them were doing ballots. The Pearl District was, of course, being extra and using magic to submit their votes, even though it wasn't really necessary. And in the morning, the Lightsmiths Guild took 8 brass cannons throughout the city to all the different districts, and they were supposed to set those off once their district had decided on its elected counselor. And then all the counselors were going to meet at the historic town hall over in Greywall, and they were hoping to have the elections done by about 2 p.m. so that the new council could actually get something done at the end of the day. The group went about their various morning activities. Some of it was campaign related. Owen helped Holly get things going in the Dawn District. Nyx actually voted 3 times because they could go in as 3 different people for their district. Soxy voted for Kurt and Barrel Run, because why wouldn't she? Syl wrote in Pesk's name because she refused to vote for Vassifra, which made my heart happy and sad at the same time. And she dragged Dub to the polls as well. And then Pip got in line because he thought it was a food line and ended up just pushing both buttons because he didn't know who to vote for. Yoth, sorry, background noise. Yoth held a mock election in the sewers with the rat. Sorry, that's my husband's cell phone going off in the background. He's upstairs, over there. At least it's, somewhat nerdy themed, so that works out well.
Anyway. Is it the Doctor Who?
It's yes. Doctor Who,
oh! Yes. Good.
Yep, and actually his ringtone on my phone when he calls me is Doctor Who.
That's nerdy.
Yes, well. So the group decided to go to Stroop's Waffles that day instead of the Beer Forge, since the Beer Forge was a little busy. And they left a note just in case anybody needed to catch up with them. Skipping ahead to the important bits, they ate and then decided to go over to the library to do some research on the city in the mountains. They were debating whether or not they wanted to go there and try doing that particular mission that Aldion had mentioned. The head librarian, Keithra Childrum, was actually revealing a new display that had previously existed but been sort of sectioned off and walled off at some point. And it was moved to reveal a mantle that had a somewhat burnt-looking beam above it, and there was a sword above the mantle in a case on display, and she talked about the sword being named Ash, and it's actually a sentient sword. The beam that showed burning was from the Great Fire that had given Cinderhaven its name way back when, and this beam had stopped rotting and decaying after Ash was placed above it. Ash was known for telling stories that it had collected over the years, and it would tell stories from all sorts of really faraway places, and it would also cater the story to whoever was watching and listening. So if there were children in the audience, it would be a very G-rated story, and if it was adults, it could be anything. So the group decided to sit in front of the sword and hear the story and find out what they could. It started to hum, and then the hum turned into vibrations, which slowly became a voice. And Ash told the story of Cauldron the Slayer. He was a great hero who'd gone on a quest to look for an item to save his people. And the quest took him to the ancient Goliath city of Descent, which was in mountains described as being very similar to the mountains outside of Cinderhaven. Theirs was a very advanced society. The Goliaths had used a lot of math and geometry. The walls and stones of the buildings basically used no mortar, but were fit perfectly together, kind of like that, hi Cupid, kind of like that South American city whose name I'm blanking on right now. And he had gone on a quest to speak to the Clutch Mother, Sheeta Thavani, who was a dragon known for having many clutches of eggs. She didn't really ever leave her area, but her children did, and they tended to wreak havoc in the countryside. He went to talk to Sheeta because she had the item he needed to save his people, but as soon as she heard his name, she killed him. There wasn't a lot of information on why. And so Cauldron's family and his village died, and Ash ended up spending decades with Sheeta until an unlikely hero freed him. But that was another story, so he trailed off. Everyone decided to go do more research. We found out that Zeknar had also done some expeditions into the mountains. And then we heard what we thought was the final cannon going off, because we had counted up to seven districts. Final cannon went off to mark what we thought was the end of the elections, and so everyone but Yoth headed over to the town hall. And on the way there, we actually heard another cannon go off, which didn't click until later. We got to the city hall. It was so full that they had moved everybody over to the amphitheater, standing room only. And all of the new counselors were up on the stage. Rydell and Pinball were actually both there, although eventually Pinball shook Rydell's hand and left. We also found out that Tybalt had become the counselor for Lakeside, and Anika Chinratan had become the Greywall council member. She was also the one who had offered a diamond in exchange for Nathan's business in an episode just 1 or 2 days before. There was also, and this was the 8th one that we had all forgotten about, was a tall red dragonborn who wore a captain's uniform, and his name is Jinroth Markrin. He's the captain of the Grindal, and he's the new head of the Bilgeport district. They've officially become part of the city and have their own council member, so they are now represented. Everyone chatted and then started mingling with the crowd as people congratulated them. Ezra specifically came over to Soxy and asked about how Mari was doing because of the strange circumstances of her kind of popping right back up really quickly. And Bridget switched over to their Thomas persona, and went over to talk to Anika, who said that there was a plan B in place to take Nathan out of the picture in a way that would let her take over the business. So we don't know exactly what's happening there, but she apparently has had plans to ruin Nathan. Thomas then came over and switched back to Bridget and gave the group a heads up that we needed to go talk about something. Meanwhile, Owen and Syl had been going around talking to everyone and congratulating them. They both just kind of stared at Vassifra. They didn't really talk to her. And Jinroth specifically spoke to Owen and asked if he knew Soxy. Apparently, Jinroth had a man tell him about a giant bug. He called the man a liar and slit his throat. Syl's response was, egg on your face, which didn't surprise anybody.
I love Syl's response.
I love her.
It was perfect. It was so perfect and so Syl. So basically, for anyone who doesn't remember, this is a callback to a way previous episode early on in the campaign when Soxy, Owen, Pesk, who was still in town, Finku, Rosie, and Mari all went to Jinroth's boat and stole something off of it. They did this for Ivy because Ivy had been cheated out of a deal by Jinroth. Soxy being the most physically noticeable and also one of the few people that the bosun on the ship at the time saw, is the one that Jinroth has the information on. And so he basically said, tell her she owes me, or I expect to be paid. So we haven't figured that part out yet. He also mentioned that Bilgeport would be controlling access to the boat lift and thanked Syl for her part in working on it and getting it working again, and said that he would vote in her favor for her service, which is ominous, and we don't know what that means. Owen also has made a point of talking to everyone because he's trying to build up a good relationship with all of the other counselors. Meanwhile, back at the library, Yoth, who had disguised himself as Syl, was joined by our Tiefling and Goliath friends that we love so much. They said they'd seen him with Nathan, and so they wanted to ask Yoth for the information. Yoth legitimately does not know who killed the Tiefling sister, because Yoth didn't have his book at the time and wasn't around, so he has no idea that it was Holly. So even if he wanted to, he can't give them Holly's name. They offered him money, but he refused. And they also basically threatened to ruin Nathan's name and that it was the group's last chance, but Yoth still said no. As they left, Yoth changed into a different form and followed them to try to get information, and was met by a woman all in red who removed a piece of red glass from Yoth's fur. Possibly a tracker, just like Rosie had. We're not 100%. Yoth went into the bar and ordered a drink, and then he ended up changing back to his normal form and confronting the men. He threatened them and stabbed a knife into the table, at which point the cloaked figure, who we haven't really had an interaction with yet, reached out 3 bony fingers, touched the dagger, and it started to just decay and rot away. So that's also concerning. Everyone met back up and ended up going into the sewers with Rosie and Yoth to discuss everything in a more private setting so that they wouldn't be overheard talking about everything. Nyx revealed that they were a changeling to everyone that was there, and Yoth filled everyone in on the conversation regarding the Tiefling and the Goliath. We discussed being cautious, especially not mentioning Holly's name at all in any of the conversations, just in case someone's listening at some point. And then heard some whistling down the way. It was Mo. He was painting a sign on a big yellow smiley face on the wall, and in yellow putting "Don't feel blue" to make Rosie feel better. Then he left and called out to us because he saw a sign down the road that was basically a stencil painting of Saldana, and underneath was the word freedom. But then a little further down was the same thing, and underneath it said obey. And over the next week or so, these images started appearing all over the city. So there was a lot that happened in that episode.
Yeah, that was an action-packed one.
Yes,
really quickly, Haley was the name, not Holly.
I said Holly. My bad.
It's okay. They are both very similar names, but that is okay. So I just wanted to make sure that there was a clarification there, so we did not have a confusion.
Yes. But good call.
It happens. So that leads us to session 60, the first day of Wayaris, and November 7th, 2018, which included the lovely folks of Mari, Owen, Callie, Oshin, Lark, and Nyx. The day after the election, everybody woke up and flyers had been posted throughout the city detailing exactly what the new council had accomplished on the first day of session. They had chosen a new head, Vassifra, and among other decisions were such things as the library and university being government funded now. The weapons and religious bans have been lifted in the city, and the boat lift had been given a full okay for operations. In order to finance all these things, the city began to sell off the homes of the king and around the city. The homes of the king around the city. Sorry, he had more than one. Reynard Manor, among a few other little properties around the city, to help fund the government, as most of it is in a heap at the bottom of a cliff underwater.
Yep.
In addition, the Divine Foundry had promised the Watch of the City full appropriate armor and weapons so that they could properly do their job. Lark and Foster, his wonderful bear, had been distributing those flyers throughout the city, while Oshin spent some time at the Nature Temple working in the gardens and learning more about the deities there as he felt a calling towards them. Callie stole away in the middle of the morning and found an abandoned building in the temple district and began to set up a secret shrine to the prime deities, specifically the Dragon Mother and her 11 dragon children, or her 10 dragon children, I should say. Owen, knowing that Holly had been elected the representative of the Dawn District, went over to speak to her about the hospital, concerned that she may not have enough time to look after the district look after the hospital with all of her district duties. But she assured him, now that it was fully governmentally funded, that she would have plenty of time for both. Mari works towards finding some help to help her out at the Sunflower Dreams shop, Nyx worked as in their Bridget persona at the Greasers Guild, and then everyone met at lunch for the Beer Forge. The Beer Forge was fully raucous with lots of lively activity, including our cowboy friend and the hooded figure enjoying their meals. And while debating on what to do that day, the group decided they should go down the next segment of what they had deemed, quote-unquote, the stale tunnel, which is the worst euphemism we've ever come up with in the state of this game.
Wow.
On our way through the stale tunnel, we worked our way around until we reached a vast chasm. I'll let you insert the joke yourself.
Hey!
Callie, having borrowed the rope of climbing from Owen and a little bit of using a few of her key points, managed to launch herself across the 35-foot span and secure the other end of the rope of climbing to a stalagmite so the group could cross. It would going to definitely be a little bit of a tricky kind of situation, but Callie being able to see in the dark and having her jumping ability made a good sense to be the one to make the leap. Unfortunately, just as Nyx began to cross the tightrope, two ropers appeared on either side of the chasm and attacked. Nyx, being in a bit of a panic, did slip slightly, but luckily they had managed to secure themselves to the rope with an additional one, so it was not difficult for them to get back onto secure land. The parties had some difficulty, Callie being stuck by herself out of range of most people's vision as Lark had Lark had dropped his torch down to the bottom of the chasm to see how deep it was. Owen, sorry, thank you. I couldn't remember if it was Lark or Owen. Lark had his headlamp.
Ever-burning headlight.
Ever-burning headlamp. So the only people who could actually see in the dark in the party were Callie, Nyx, I believe. No, Callie. Who else?
Callie and Lark were the only
Callie and Lark.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
No one has dark vision in that group.
It was great. It was great. It was fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
So unfortunately, Lark could not leave the other group in the darkness, and Callie was stuck by herself. And although he did make a very valiant and heroic attempt to save her, using Foster to leap across midway of the chasm and then misty stepping with both of them to the other side, he was slightly too late, and Callie was made lunch of the roper, having been grappled and restrained and just unable to break away. The rest of the party battled to escape, also being confined by the roper's tentacles, but quickly learned to chop them off, and everybody worked in great detail to make sure that Owen, who was very perilously close to being dragged 300 feet off the side of that cliff, was rescued as the roper fell to its death. Lark managed to get a finger of Callie's because there was not much left of her, as well as her belongings, to take back to Cinderhaven to hopefully find Ezra at the Nature Temple to perform a ritual to bring her back in a reincarnation. As they walked,
also, we're being raided.
Oh, hello!
Hi, guys!
Thank you for the raid. And hello,
Hi.
Jenny. It's good to see you.
That's an interesting one to use, Heather.
Sorry,
That's an interesting one.
I clicked on something I didn't mean to
What?
click on.
What did you click on?
What did you
that's a
do,
good one.
Heather?
I mean,
It all
she's
comes
not
back
wrong.
to Vor.
Oh,
She's
geez.
not wrong. It did indeed come back to Vor as Callie
Yeah.
was eaten by the roper.
Yeah.
Did I invoke Vor? Yes, you
Maybe a
did.
little bit.
Unintentionally. I did not mean to
Invoked the
click
vor.
on it.
You just did it again. I love you.
Oh God, love you, Heather.
I can't click on things when we're on stream,
No,
apparently.
Don't click on things. I adore you. We're just doing our recap, and then we'll be answering audience questions, including everyone's favorite questions. Who do you ship and why? So as they were walking back from the unfortunate demise of Callie, Owen began to sing a beautiful Elvish song to honor her as they walked back. Owen and Lark then went to go find Primeheart to let him know what had happened. However, he was not home. So Nyx brought Callie's finger along with Mari and Oisin to the Nature Temple in search of Ezra. And they found him. However, he did not move quite quickly enough for Nyx's liking. And through their impatience and a little bit of very slight sass, I will say, it was determined that the price for Callie's resurrection and reincarnation would not be 1,000 gold, but 1,000 hours of labor in the garden of the Nature Temple by Nyx in order to help them learn patience, which they very reluctantly agreed to. Lark and Owen arrived in time for the resurrection ritual to begin, and Lark stepped forward, giving an impassioned speech on how Callie had taught him to flirt and be a little bit more confident and always eye wave to call her soul back to her body. Mari called on Callie's connection to the Divine Egg and the Divine Mother, saying, "Come back home," because she clearly wasn't done yet. And Nyx stepped forward and said they were unsure as to why they had feelings the way they did when Mari died, when Callie died, and was not sure as to what they meant. But they had fun together, and they'd like to continue having fun. And he felt a little bad. They felt a little bad that they had, quote unquote, been holding out on Callie with their ability to change genders for their very pansexual, loving half-orc friend. And Callie did come back as the most perfect thing Callie could ever imagine being, given her relationship with the Divine Mother, a bronze dragonborn. She woke up, gave her thanks to Nyx with a tender kiss, and then hugs to everyone. Lark had saved all of her belongings, including the dragon's tooth that Callie had taken and her sacred text from the order that she had stolen, and she was so moved. She was very, very pleased with everybody, and then headed off to Primeheart's to rest and to tell him what had happened, so hopefully he wasn't going to be too upset. Thus endeth session 60.
So session 61, which was We Are a Second, and that was November 8th. That had Callie, Primeheart, Nathan, Mari, Owen, and Rosie. And it actually started off with the night of the day prior, with Primeheart having been out collecting kindling for his Harvest Close bonfire when Lark and Owen was trying to find him. And while he was tending to his garden, Callie showed herself, Primeheart briefly mistaking her as Pesk, I believe, if I remember correctly.
No, because their coloration was different, but it was just he did not realize who she was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with Callie explaining the situation to Primeheart, and she looked very lovely as a Dragonborn. The next morning, Primeheart went to the Nature Temple, seeing Nyx, but not knowing it was them, as they were in their Bridger persona. They had never met yet. Then going back to Callie, who was still having a bit of a rough time from the day prior. Nathan went to Owen, talking about scar removal. Going through all this, and also Owen suggesting Nathan work on his political relations, talking with Anika, and finding other ways to find people such as his mother, Nathan finding his mother. And Owen noticed that the graffiti that had Sildana's image and had those different words now said liar on them. Mari finally had her flower shop opened up, and she started running it. And Rosie did a set at the Beer Forge. And one of the people who were listening to her and actually tipped her a platinum showed themselves to actually be Haley, who missed everyone and was still feeling the pain of rejection from Mari and everything else that happened with that. And left, and Rosie went to spend the rest of the day with Daisy. or the morning, I should say. At the beer forge, the party meets up and they notice the graffiti running, and they display Nathan with the word traitor beneath them. The cowboy and the cloak figure enter at their designated area. That's just a little side note because they show up a lot, which is very disconcerting for a number of reasons. Going through all the notes, sorry. More discussion was had, and Prime Heart was talking about the people that they could approach about the possible graffiti and other things going on. Bacapella then showed up, and as Zreet was there, I quote this from the notes.
I saw the note.
A bag of holding to Nathan. I had to quote that.
Yeet's the bag of holding to Nathan.
Yep, yeet is our campaign word, apparently. Which
I wouldn't want it any other way. Let's be real, you guys.
Yeah. And inside were the new tomes of transcription that were newly connected for the newer people to use, like Yoth getting his rights back and Callie and Nick to have those. And then we had Akmon, the blue tiefling, and Garuhak Chicken Fingers, the bearded Goliath. They entered the table and joined the cowboy and the hooded figure. Rosie had given him a skewer, chicken fingers, I should say, and he, in exchange, gave her a drink. Mari and Nathan approached that table and spoke to the blue teething about the graffiti, and the group saying that they still wanted to get the name of the person who killed his sister, Haley. The rest of the group came by, Rosie and Owen came by to insist that not only was the group being petty and childish with their reactions, but also that what had happened was an act of self-defense and protecting, given the very dangerous situation that the people were in. And as the group was walking away, Akmon said that his sister's name was Duella. And also that a member of Nathan's family was in Cinderhaven. And the group then headed off to Greywall, where a council meeting was being held. As the group passed some guards, they went, the meeting was still going on, and they sat down and listened. Primeheart and Callie, they were pretty much bored the entire time, which was funny. At one point during the conversation, a woman named Elabana Lay, Nathan's aunt, came by and announced that she was there on the behalf of Preston Brell with the intention of selling the company to the city.
As a note, it's Lee.
My bad.
It's spelled completely wrong in the notes. It's spelled completely wrong.
I can fix it.
Here, Heather, I'll message you with the correct spelling.
And Nathan knew that he had a copy of a document saying that he had a third of the say of what would happen with the company, so he and Rosie went to collect said paper from his aunt. As the meeting continued, they spoke about how without a king, the city had to self-govern itself, and that Cinderhaven had to become pretty much a democratic flagship of just how to do that. And that they would also be creating a standing army to defend any would-be threats that would go against pretty much the new capital, like a steel healing and newborn capital. Back at the Brell estate, Rosie and Nathaniel noticed the Cowboys group was standing outside of the estate and intimidating them and getting in that face. That's pretty spot on for the reaction.
Yep.
And while Nathan kept his composure, Rosie made a lighthearted threat, which seemed to please the group somehow. They went in, got the document from the safe, and according to the verbiage, it specifically said that 2 of the 3 owners must agree to sell, and if the third doesn't, they can be compensated. As the 2 left to make their way back, guards were there, saying how the Cowboys group said that Rosie had threatened them, and they explained that while they could go this time, they were going to make some changes to make that more severe crime. And so accepting that, they made their way back. Back at Council Center, there was talk about the selling of Reynard Manor for 250,000 gold, which would go to help with the hospital and the guard. And what also to Primeheart and Mari's interest was that Tybal Lockridge was saying a possible expansion for the city into Skyroot Forest, part of which would move past Primeheart's camp and even past Green Iron Village, which would possibly take away Primeheart's home and just for civilization, destroying nature for that. But it'll also help with the city with its farmland. Mari wasn't sure how to feel that, since a lot of that expansion was also before, near Farbrook, I believe it was. And then a farmer named Tarek Nibley approached and inquired about compensation from previous expansion of the now Dawn District into his farmland by the previous administration, wanting compensation for all that. Nathan and Rosie came back, and Nathan approached the podium next to his aunt, who ignored him pretty much most of the time and insulted him a little bit during certain discussions, and even pointing out that his mother would be disappointed. Which, with family like this, who needs enemies?
Yeah.
We have both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a theme. That's a theme with the nobles. Nathan was called up and to speak, and he revealed with the document that he just wanted compensation and wanted to be kept on the company as the official artist. Alabama spoke up and said that there was a clause in the contract that says if 2 of the 3 find the third's ethics to be questionable, they can release the third from the contract without pay. And Tybalt announced that there can be an overseeing council to dispute that if needed, which it was. As Alabama left, Nathan confronted her, and she handed him an envelope telling him to accept his severance and stop this foolishness. He took it reluctantly, and as she walked away, Akmon, everyone's favorite blue tiefling, was there looking amused and stating that this was only the beginning of Nathan's suffering and tomorrow there would be more. Owen stepped up to the podium then and introduced himself as Lieutenant Owen Avery as the 3rd Battalion of the Kurosian. Is that pronounced right? Kurosian? I don't know. Kurosian Army.
I think so.
Persian, isn't it? Hold up, let me
Joe,
read
I apologize for butchering that. I'll fix that later.
Sure.
And he offered himself to be an advisor for the guard and the military, to which the council took into consideration. And as Nathan made his way back inside to the council room, he noticed that Rosie had disappeared. And collecting at the everyone collecting at the entrance to search for her, Achman commented and teased about their friend, and they nearly got into a scuffle with him, but Primeheart and Mari picked up her trail. Owen with Callie to go to Pinballs to get him to send a message to her, and Primeheart led the group from the alley into the sewers with tracks out to the beer forge. Back in Pinball's tower, Owen and Callie went to talk to Mo, who... sorry, I lost my place in the notes.
It happens. There's a lot.
Very dense notes.
There's a lot.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot, so pardon us when we lose our spots. Okay, here we go. When they went to find Pinball, they found him. I had to do this because this is important notes for everyone. They found him completely naked, enjoying some good food. And asked him to send a message to Rosie, who actually rebuffed and just wanted to be left alone. And they then separated and to go back to find her. Back at the beer forge, Rosie and Daisy were on top of a tower of tables, just watching the partygoers around. Primeheart entered to keep a distant but watchful eye on Rosie. When Nathan Mari didn't come in, because Nathan was starting to get some sensory overload from the day's events, and began to notice that the graffiti began to run and just become indistinct smears on the wall. and Callie entered, shared some drinks with Parmahar, and pretty much just had some good ship moments. Just all the love for that. And that was the end of session 61.
On to session 62. So it is it pronounced Wearis? Wearis third, 1199, which was, what month is this? November.
November 9th.
November 9th.
Big mood, Kaden. Big
Right?
mood.
Time is an illusion, and I don't subscribe to that newsletter. Okay, so the characters involved were Nathan, GB, Syl, Pip, Oshin, and Callie. So Callie had spent the night with Primeheart, and she got up with him listening to his dawn prayers and went to her Dragon Mother shrine. She's working on constructing the Prime Pantheon, not Patreon. The Prime Pantheon. Pantheon.
Moving on.
I'm sorry. GB showed up at the beer forge early, and it was absolutely packed. The cowboy and the cloaked figure are sitting at their usual table as usual, much to our chagrin. GB and Ivy got caught up. She's been wondering where her brother's been, and he had tried the new breakfast sushi, which is a horrifying concept. The cowboy lured GB over to him for pets and scritchins and a bone, only to be surprised to find out that, oh boy, this dog talks. But their conversation stays light and short. Nathan had spent the night with Mari. I believe I can't remember what, I play Nathan, I can't remember. I think they went back to the estate. No, they stayed at Mari's. They stayed at, thank you for that beautiful note, thank you. As I'm reading this, I just see, is that Heather? Right, platonically. Nathan spent the night with Mari, platonically. And he kissed her on the forehead, and then he walked back home. Just for a note, they did not sleep together. Syl worked on her art project in her studio, painting a mural that had the word heal on it. While Dub hung out with her. Dub is her awesome boyfriend.
Yes.
Who is
Between.
What?
I'm assuming there's a space between boy and friend, or is it single? I don't know.
No, it's single. No,
They're single.
They're official.
There has been some smooches.
Yeah. They're no longer a ship. They're a thing.
That's adorable, and I love it. So they were hanging out, and so Syl ended up orchestrating a meeting between Dub and her mom. There's a downtime for that. Check that out on our World Anvil eventually. I don't know if it's up yet.
And it'll eventually be on the Adventure Journal also.
Check that out. And then Nathan ended up going to Syl's workshop to just sit and talk with her because they hadn't seen each other, talked in a while. He told her that he lost his family's company and that his aunt and his uncle sold it from underneath his feet. But for some reason, he wasn't as broken up as he thought he would be about it. He realized that he doesn't need them because the party's his real family. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Dub is in a corner, scratching furiously on the ground and he did a charcoal drawing of a monster with long curved goat horns, pointed ears, and a wide open mouth, and maw dripping with who knows fucking what. And with a terrifying, just wrinkled and lined face, and he calls it Secrets. And it was significantly more detailed and lifelike than he normally sketched. And he does not remember drawing it upon questioning. Syl, this isn't in the notes, but I do remember Syl kept this hidden from Nathan as to not upset him because of patron bullshit. Once receiving our tomes of transcription, Pip was very upset to find that they have been wiped in a ritual that rebound them to their newly formed group.
He lost all his flirting notes.
He lost all of his flirting notes. He was so sad.
All his notes on eye waves are gone.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. Genuinely, Kyle's reaction fucking got me. I was dying. Oshin went to the Garden Keep, a nature temple, to explore what nature gods that existed in roommates. If you guys hear that, I live with people. So they wanted to find what nature gods existed other than Quara, so that they could find one that fit a little better with who they are as a person. A man spoke to Oshin, and he helped the man rake leaves. He pointed Oshin towards Maliki, the god of nature and fertility and birth, and away from Belon, commerce. He also mentioned
Golfim.
Golfim. That was a thing to look at. Golfim, disease and plague, and I'm assuming that's pronounced like axolotl.
Adaloxley. Yeah, oof. I know, it's a tricky one. Adaloxley. It's Soxy's goddess.
Okay, Arcana and Tempest, which my ADHD brain did not okay, then why are these words here? Why am I looking at these words?
That's their domains.
Solrain, thank you. And other domains. The Aegeus of the woods over nature and war. I'm sorry that I stumbled over that like a newborn deer. Then
it's okay. We don't talk about a lot of the gods a lot in the stream. We have quite a few of them. We're still building them.
It's a very large pantheon.
It's amazing and I love it.
It's fucking incredible. I love it. Back at the beer forge, Binksy poofed up onto the end of GB's bone. In the notes, Binksy poofed onto the end of GB's bone. ... That didn't come out. Binksy then talked with GB, or Binksy talked, and GB learned the cowboy, the tiefling he had. Whoa. GB learned that the cowboy, the tiefling he was with, had gone after Nathan. There we go. Wow. Binksy made GB bigger using a spell, and GB gave Pip a ride, which was rather adorable. Callie and Pip took shots of strong liquor due to an invocation of
Pip turned blue.
Yeah, this is so weirdly worded. Pip turned blue. It was beautiful, and that's then there was a break. Eventually, Syl ended up taking out the art that Dub had made, titled Secrets, and Nathan, upon seeing this, immediately reacted, and mainly seeing the title Secrets. Binksy said that it was the King of Secrets who Victor made a deal with. The party took it as a portent of the King of Secrets coming back to punish Victor members. Oshin had us go back to Pinballs to warn him. That is also when Nathan learned that the same creature he made a deal with was the same creature that Victor made a deal with, connecting him to them, unfortunately, in his own mind. Red showed up while we were walking and took Pip's arm. She answered their questions. Red's married as she does, not with speech, but with magic and gestures, as she is, from what we understand, mute. She answers their questions. Red is married to the cowboy. She casts spells, and she was born with that inherently. She didn't know if she liked egg tubes. She didn't really understand GB's question about where her magic came from. Nature, deity, blood, books. But they left her outside when they got to the tower. When they get into the tower, Mo came down to meet the rest of the party, minus Oshin, wearing Mickey Mouse-style pants. We think that he probably had to take off his feet in order for those pants to get on his adorable little rotund body. His little stick legs, what a good bean. He started making egg tubes, unfortunately titled Egg Doughs. There is a clip of it. If you would like to see it, just go in our clips, it's there. Oshin then headed into the back door to go upstairs, and then explained Dub's drawing and the King of Secrets. Pinball made a big deal of the fact that the door that Oshin came through didn't have an alarm on it, though it should have, but it didn't need to be locked. Foreshadowing? ? Pinball requested that Oshin stay out of it if the King of Secrets showed up, because he didn't want to risk harm coming to Oshin. As Oshin walked back to the tower, they saw a young, petite, pale woman dressed in all black with black hair. She introduced herself as V. V asked for the opportunity to speak with Oshin's friends. Syl Nathan, Primeheart, Pinball, Pesk, someone she couldn't remember the name of. Oshin didn't want to invite her to Mo's tower, but V didn't want to give up on speaking with Oshin's friends. V seemed to agree to speak with Oshin's friends at the beer forge, and Oshin deftly making any sort of deal. They just kind of finagled their way out of making a deal, being of Fey origin as they are a Furbolg. They understand the Fey. You don't make deals with shit you don't understand. Oh god, I lost my place. Okay, good lord. Oshin returned inside Mo's tower and told everyone about the interaction. Nathan believed that V was the vessel and of the King of Secrets. Nathan pushed the party to go to the beer forge to meet her. Oshin left to go back upstairs, following Pinball's instructions not to get involved with the King of Secrets business. As soon as Oshin left, V appeared in an armchair inside the tower. She had a distaste for hair. She asked about how Nathan had been using Binksy. Spurred on by GB telling V that Binksy pet him, Nathan explained that Binksy was his own person, that Nathan merely asked to aid him. V told Nathan that he could get his prior familiars back as soon as he earned that. He said that Binksy liked to heal people, which is a punishable offense for the likes of what Binksy is, an imp. V told them that Pinball used to keep her in the closet, hidden behind the closet, which she pointed to inside of the tower. He allegedly held her for a few years, 50 or so more years ago. He used her as a conduit to talk to the King of Secrets. Pip, GB, and Syl all realized the same time that V is Imelda, though Pip didn't specifically remember her name. Imelda was the one who she controls the fucking Nocturnes. She summons a Nocturne through the tower door. We went into moments as in combat. Imelda is intangible, and Pip jumps onto the Nocturne to hold it in place, with GB helping with a hold person. Pinball disintegrates the Nocturne, with Imelda and GB counterspelling until Pinball got the spell off. So pulverized bones inside of the Nocturne's armor through the dusted portion. Callie climbed onto the Nocturne to spew lightning through its helmet, then jumped off, landing blows on the armor as she launched herself off. Oshin threw a Nocturne out of the tower. Nathan stalked after it as it slid away, and he held his hands against the armor and released a burst of flames. Mo freaked out, chucking various melee weapons around, ineffectually from the closet of weapons. You know what? He was doing his best, y'all. He was doing his freaking best.
Yeah. He's a gentle soul.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
He's a very good boy. The Nocturne then grabbed at Kali's chest, piercing it and taking a handle on her clavicle. Imelda somehow exploded.
That hurt.
Yeah! I'm sorry that happened. Imelda somehow exploded the Nocturne as the party woke up from their brief bout of common unconsciousness. We all roll on a D100 to see what happens. Good God, I zoomed out on act. There we go, that's better. GB had rolled a 19. He had a broken paw. Unable to use the paw, he's at half speed. Medicine should be able to fix it. Syl had rolled a 93, and a piece of armor got embedded inside of her. A permanent, painful scar that acts up when it rains, kind of like when you're, for example, missing a limb. Phantom pains are just the ache, bad joints, etc. Oof. I don't know what just happened, y'all. My laptop just did a thing. Sorry.
Technology.
Unfortunately, I believe this page for me is no longer active. I will just read what is left on the page that I can. There may be a way to fix it through medicine. Oshin rolled a 68. A piece of the torso hit them in the head, causing a concussion and maybe a fractured skull. They would be unable to participate in combat until they were well again. Pip rolled a 49. Just his shield, just exploding. Callie rolled a 99. Receive a minor scar that is unhealable and permanent. Regenerate might fix it. And Nathan, because his connection to V and the King of Secrets, had to roll twice. He rolled a 76 and a 96. Take the worst roll, and a large thing hits him, maybe Pip, causing his hip to have a massive purple bruising. Nausea and immediacy of vivid colors of the bruise could indicate internal bleeding. He also received a permanent scar. Meanwhile, Pimble had a piece of armor embedded in his chest, piercing a lung. And thankfully, with everyone working together, managed to save his life, which was rather terrifying. And then Imelda was gone. GB cast Fly on Callie and laid out 2 healing potions. Oshin grabbed a healing potion as well. Pip pulled a piece of armor out of Pinball. All 3 points were necessary to stabilize him. Callie then flew back to the Goa ship in the harbor at top speed. The entire ship is made of air shale. She was met by a very odd-looking Goa. She requested to see Syl's mother. She was able to convince her pretty quick that Syl was badly injured and needed her mother's help. Back in Most Tower, Eris Kine teleported Callie and herself to Syl. Eris Kine was slightly annoyed at the rushing around since no one was close to death on her accords. Eris Kine expressed kindly, "These people are corrupting you." She also objected to Syl referring to we when discussing the sentimentality of removing the Nocturne armor because of the nature of the Nocturne. And at the end of the session, GB went with Nathan to go over to Mari's to sleep and just rest. Syl and Eris Kine teleported back to the Goa ship to get Syl's shrapnel removed. Callie went back to her shrine and then to Primart's camp to sleep. Then Oshin went back upstairs to be with Pinball. Pinballs did say that Imelda did not look anything like the Imelda he knew. That was the end of session.
Okay, and that takes us into Wearis the 4th, session 63, which was November 10th. This episode had Lark, GB, Syl, Primeheart, Finku, and Callie. We started off at the Goa boat in the river, lake, whichever one it's in. Eris Kine finished fixing up Syl, and so now instead of having this hole in her, she's got the sort of bronzing filling the hole. So it's like a bronze decoration almost, instead of just a big hole in her side. And she also was given something called the Air Shield. It's a shield made out of air shale, and after a long rest or once a day, she can choose to make it one of 3 different things. It can either be an arrow catching shield, a +1 sentinel shield, or a +1 adamantine shield. Finku worked on a rifle at the Greasers Union until Tira finally forced him out to go have lunch with everybody. Lark spent time at the Goblin Village. He was working on getting them to do a slide or ramp to the mines, so down to the caves that we've been exploring, basically having them build something to sort of make it easier for us to get in and out of the caves so that we don't constantly have to go up and down the rope. Callie and Primeheart woke up at his camp and agreed that it was probably a good idea to go into the caves again today, and they went to the Goblin Village first. Everyone met up in the Goblin Village, Lark, Primeheart, and Callie. Primeheart met Boss, and they all talked about Cinderhaven expanding into the Banyan Forest and what to do about it. And Boss planned to extort the city to get compensation for moving. Callie negotiated with Boss to purchase some property from him that was in the Temple District so that she could build her Prime Deities temple there. And he offered to rent it to her so that it would be cheaper. And in exchange, she just had to give him 10% of the tithes she collected and just give them to Patsy to give to him. They discussed that a little more, and then Boss gave Lark a battle axe as a thank you for having brought so much business to the village. So now Lark has a +2 non-magical axe that requires him to take the hero die. I didn't hear about that part. So if he rolls a 1, he has to take the hero die, which means he gets a hero die that can do a lot of stuff, but it also means he has an epic critical failure, which could be interesting. Primeheart was given something called the Jawbreaker of Power. When sucked on, Primeheart would regain a 4th level spell slot once per day. And Boss planned to talk to the council about taking possession of the former site of the castle to be a new workshop. And he agreed to work on the slide down to the caves. Back at the Beer Forge, everyone met up. Everything was very, very busy. The cowboy gave GB another bone, and they talked. But again, it was somewhat light for parts of it. They also talked about the cowboy's mission to learn who killed his friends. And Syl came in and joined them. Reading through the notes. Finku showed up and joined them as well and talked to the cowboy about the rifle. He found out from the description of the maker of the rifle as having lots of mechanical things all over his body, including little mechanical arms and tools, etc. There is some concern that possibly this rifle maker happens to be the keysmith, which makes none of us very happy. And the cowboy didn't really want an amateur to build a weapon like the rifle, so Finku pulled out his glitter bomb to show that he has a lot of tinkering expertise. And then the cowboy exploded the glitter bomb all over his companion and thought it was hilarious. So they're not all bad people. They just are at odds with what we want. Finku learned that the cowboy's name is Mikhail, or Mickey, and he warned that though they were talking now, that it was, a different issue than the reason that they came to town. Everyone kept talking and hanging out. Eventually, Lark, Primeheart, and Callie showed up, and Ivy ended up coming over and giving, it says slid Primeheart a gift certificate for a magical tattoo parlor. I wasn't there for this episode, so
it was for Callie.
Okay, so that's a typo. And gave Callie a gift certificate for a basically a magical tattoo that would give her some sort of abilities. And Ivy also attached cuffs to his wingwear.
For GB.
Okay, these are missing pieces. Okay, so Ivy gave GB something called wingwear, which lets him fly around on his harness, basically. Daisy showed up and said hello to Finku and gave him a dagger as an anniversary gift that also had some poison abilities. They went over to the tattoo parlor for Callie to cash in her gift certificate, and she got an 11-pointed star on her shoulder with the dragon as on one of the points, and it enhances her strikes with elemental ice damage.
Or it would have if I still had it.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. I'm not done with this episode yet. So, cave system underneath the city. Everyone's exploring. They continue. They get past the crevice, or get to the crevice where Callie had died before, and where the ropes are. They end up going down and looking around inside of it, and they end up finding a giant spider web. And the spider that shows up is like this cross between a centipede and a spider dragon thing. It's all bad. Lots of fighting. It's really hard to hit. Everything keeps sticking to it because it's got sticky secretions all over it. And it also has a poison cone that does massive poison damage. So for obvious reasons, they wanted to get rid of it quickly. At one point, to get a better tactical advantage, Callie jumped onto its face so that she could hit it more directly. But the spider, once it got down to a point where it was worried it was going to die, did the survival reaction that so many spiders have, and it just dropped down the crevice to get away. It was a 300-foot crevice, and because of the sticky secretions, Callie was stuck to the face of the spider, and she died again. And then they went down and got Callie. They took her back home. They went back to the Temple District, and Ezra was nice enough to bring her back again. And this time, though, instead of coming back as a Dragonborn, she was going to come back as a Triton. There was one moment where they could sense that she possibly was wavering on whether or not to come back. So Primeheart dug into the dirt until he found Callie's face and used Speak with the Dead to ask her questions. He asked if she valued life, and she said yes. He asked, do you think that you trying to bring back the old gods is going to succeed? She said, I don't know, I hope so. And he finally asked, do you love me? And she said, yes. He covered her back up and used magic to make the grass grow. And as the ritual completed, her new body was formed, and she was a very pretty Triton. Callie's first words were to Primeheart. She said, I'm sorry. He kissed her, and then he immediately walked away to go find Pip and go hunting because he needed to clear his head. And that was the end of episode 63. It was a heavy one.
That was a heavy one. Callie really didn't like those caves. Really didn't like that cave.
All of us?
I would certainly hope not.
We survived all of the first arc of the campaign. Nobody died. We got close a few times, but nobody died. We were all alive. we faced down a nocturne at one point, and still we were all alive. Then we get into this arc, go in those caves, and immediately all of us just start fucking dying.
To be fair, a lot of that stuff was really, really nasty. It almost felt more nasty than what we thought last arc.
Fair.
Just thanks. I hate it.
And Caden, having heroically finished Callie's new art as a Dragonborn, less than a session later of her actually using it, had to redo it all over again. So thank you, Caden, for being amazing and being a trooper and a champ through that. I felt real bad.
Happy to oblige.
So that leaves us to section
Article 25.
Session 64. We are 7th, 1199. During the morning, Owen had been spending time with the new council members, found out that they were really closely watching the group and don't all like us very much.
I know at least one of them does like me. He's my
I think they all like individual ones of us. I don't know that all of them like all of us.
Pretty sure
there's at least one that doesn't like any of us.
I'm pretty sure there's only one who actually likes me on that entire fucking. It's Tybalt. He's the only one who likes me.
Possibly two now.
I mean, Saldana's dad might tolerate you.
That's true. Rydell probably doesn't hate anybody.
That's
and
true.
Holly doesn't probably hate everybody.
And Kurt doesn't hate us.
Doesn't hate anybody.
There's some nice people
we got some nice people on the
forgot.
Kindle, so okay, we're
I
good.
forgot that Kurt was all the fucking.
We're good.
Fucking Kurt.
And Holly, I mean, I don't think we're Holly's favorite people, but she doesn't think we're horrible people. She at least tolerates us.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So in preparation for hopefully finishing off this horrible, nasty, cat-luring cave, Nathan goes to tip to tail and gets a water skin full of animal blood. I know Heather's notes say, don't know why. Tessa knows why. Them spell components don't come cheap, y'all. And everybody met at the beer forge. There was no sign of the tiefling, the hunter, the Goliath, the red, anybody. But they'd all gotten together early to make it a long day in the caves. So they journey down the Stale Tunnel for the third time, got to where the last group had gotten and discussed a strategy to keep the healers near the people who don't heal well. And on the way down, Rosie decided to roast Nathan. It wasn't so much a roast so much as just a direct insult, which was a little strange. And my computer just froze. That's awesome. There we go.
Okay.
I got it. As they were walking on, they could see a little bit of light in the distance, the same that the other group could see, just faintly. So Nyx and Mari went and scouted ahead to discover man-made walls instead of the natural cave. And beyond was a large steel door. On the door was written the words, "Beware, death lies beyond. This is your only warning." And Nathan was very excited to be able to use his abilities to read all written languages until it was discovered that it was written in common, so it wasn't quite as exciting.
It was so sad. I still haven't got to use that fucking ability, y'all. I need to use it!
Behind the door, as Soxy and Nyx use a crowbar to leverage it open, is a male sphinx by the name of Somatoth, bound to ask the group their intentions. And then following that, riddles. Because only those sent by the keepers should be able to get past him to what's beyond. And anyone sent by the keepers will surely know the answer to his riddles. So as he began to ask the riddles, the group started to confer, and he immediately yells, "Wrong. There should be no need to confer if everyone is truly sent by who they said they were." So several riddles were asked, and while though a couple of answers were incorrect, he seemed to kind of space out for a moment on those incorrect letters, as almost if he was willfully ignoring the wrong answers to give them a second try. And eventually, when he said, "You're through. Is my task done?" And the party said yes. He kind of pieced right out of there like, "Dope, I'm out. See you guys."
Okay, thanks, bye!
Yeah, pretty much was like, "Okay, cool, have fun."
Literally, like, disappeared
Got
right
the
up
kind of
the
the
door.
idea that he really didn't want to be bound there, and he was so tired of waiting for just anybody to show up, he was really okay with just letting them go. They've come to a second steel door in which there is a faint shimmer, and Nyx uses the eyes of minute seeing and sees a glyph of warning. Binksy, being the amazing imp that he is, casts Dispel magic, and the group goes through the door to find a hallway full of alcoves containing statues of various adventurers. A fighter, a ranger, a wizard, a dwarf, a cleric, and a bard and a rogue. Rosie, using her stealth ability, quickly scoots all the way down to the end, and then realize that walls shoot up between her and the rest of the group.
Yeah, she kind of ignored the whole stay close to the healers if you're not a healer thing.
It happens.
She's kind of a healer.
Yeah.
She's doing her best, y'all.
So, the first wall was made of crystals, which was damaged and finished off with spells. The second made of ice, so Nathan used burning hands to melt it. The third was made of darkness, which Binksy dispelled. The fourth wall was made of fire, and the group could not figure out how to destroy it until Nyx realized that the wizard statue had an open pouch with no components. The group started fixing whatever was missing from the statues. Nathan used fire root to fill the wizard's pouch. Mari put an arrow in the ranger's hand. Owen covered the missing hole on the bard's flute. Nyx put a scarf over the rogue's face. And Soxy drew a holy symbol on the blank one in chalk, because Soxy, like Heather, always carries chalk.
Yes.
As the missing items were given, the statues turned away and the firewall disappeared. And with another steel door and a 20 by 20 room behind it with a 10 by 10 pool of water, Nyx began to investigate the room as a voice echoed 1, 2, and the voice kept counting, and the group rushed in thinking that they had a time limit. The voice counted to 10, and then 2 of the walls pushed the people into the pool. Nathan and Nyx fell into the pool slightly and took acid damage. The voice kept counting, so Nyx and Soxy left the room. Owen found a loose brick in the wall that opened a secret door, and everyone rushed through, revealing a secret series of hallways. Everyone but Rosie got trapped in a dead end in the hallways that started filling with water. Nathan used shatters, and the holes flooding with the water got bigger. Then he remembered his wand of secrets, which magics, by the way. It magics. And found another loose brick that opened the door. They continued down the hallway, got to another door, and Nyx unlocked it. The group went through. There was a large room with a pedestal holding a basin of what Soxy realized was holy water. And Nathan and Owen both took some before the group left the room.
More like boning.
I wasn't going to say it, but I left it open for you.
Hey, listen, we all know how I feel about Owen, guys.
We all know how we all feel about Owen. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Oof.
Nathan took a vial, and Owen filled his water skin. The end of the room opened up into a natural cavern that sloped down, leading the party deeper and deeper. And the further they went, the more tired they got. Until Soxy realized that drinking the holy water might help. And everyone immediately started feeling better. The group got to the beginning of a large canyon and found a portal shimmering there between two pillars, with a slight breeze pulling people towards the portal. Nothing happened when Nathan threw some of the animal blood towards it, but suddenly the group heard an animal or beast that sounded very large and dangerous growling. They ran up the slope and came down as fast as they could, and they ran away as fast as they could, and when they stopped, the sound also stopped. They decided they'd found the portal, the job was done. Best not to worry about much any further, and headed home for the rest of the day. That was the end of the session.
Yep, we pieced the fuck out of that one.
Oh yeah,
We really did.
Big time.
We
time.
yeeted.
That was a big nope. That was a big nope.
We yeeted ourselves back out of that cavern.
Pretty much.
Can I just say, since we're talking about it, you have no idea how much self-control it took me from not jumping into that portal.
We would have.
No, I know.
Drag your ass back.
My Caden was so fucking. I was like, I gotta go in. I'm like, tie myself with a rope. I'm gonna tie it to a rock. I'm gonna go in. I realized that's not a good idea, and the party would not let me.
No.
But the want. It's like when you see a dice and you know you're not supposed to. Like you see a die, you know you're not supposed to put it in your mouth. That crunch is just so good.
I think that only applies to you.
Yeah, I don't have that same desire.
I think that only
Just
applies to
saying.
you, Kaden.
You're telling me you've never looked at a shiny, pretty die before and been like, that good.
No.
Like, look at this pretty bitch. Look at this pretty mark.
It's very pretty. It's not crushable. Oh, hi, Callie.
Sorry, wrong frame.
I have put dice in my mouth before. I just don't necessarily, get the urge to do so.
I have ADHD to an extent that is concerning.
All right,
And
so
with that,
Okay.
how do we follow up with that?
session 65.
Session 65. Oh, Wayaris 8. Oh, God. Which was November 14th for us. Starring Mari Briggs, as it's put in the notes, for Bridget and Nyx. Oshin, Pip, Lark, and Yoth. And technically the session sort of starts the night before with Yoth going to the Green Iron Village to commission Boss for him to make a bomb that can make a prank bomb, basically, that unleashed an awful odor and could stain in a certain ranged area. And Boss also showed off to Lark, who was also there, and Yoth his sculptures of prestidigitation, which was pretty much Boss in the bath showering, which is a visual I never wanted.
It's amazing and I love it.
The The morning next, Pip slept in. Nyx was doing some odd jobs for the inverted cups, having not gone to fulfill their end of the bargain with Ezra after Callie had died again. I'm sorry, Jessa, I love you. Mari worked in her shop, and Oshin was speaking with Pinball in regards to closing the portal and what the ramifications would be. Pinball said that Nocturne would stop working, creatures from the Shadowfell that were already on her side would be trapped, members of the Victor were going to start aging, and the King of Secrets would have fewer points of access to the prime material plane. He also said that he was not going to assist in closing the portal because the temptation to use its powers was far too great for him to overcome. Hello, Cupid.
Yeah.
Oh, gotta lick Mama's face now. I am Cupid. I am a cat, and
every session. She doesn't ever not do this at some point.
It's never an episode of Countless Heroes without a Cupid.
I love her. She doesn't understand. Your hair is too long to groom.
I know. She tries every time and just ends up fucking up my hair.
I love cats, guys.
So at the beer force that day, Yoth and Nyx as Bridget meet. Bridget, of course, uproarious flirtation was ensuing. And the rest of the group came in, and they all decided that they were going to go to Pinball's library to do some more research about the Shadowfell portal. That was the word I was looking for. And so as the group was starting to leave, the Cowboys group came in and went to their usual table. As a note, we were the only ones there, and then they joined. Yoth had everyone go on ahead of him, and then threw the bomb right at their table, and he revealed himself after, because he was disguised, he revealed himself, yeeted the bomb at their direction, and then yeeted himself away. The rest of us were far too long away to realize what he had done, though we knew he did something, because it's Yoth.
Valid statement.
Yeah. The group, we go to one of the primed numbered sewer grates, and Lark, shouting Ballyhoo, jumps in to go to the library, but instead falls right into the sewers. When we try again to activate the spell to get to the portal, we find that we cannot do that. The sewers aren't letting us. So we instead go to Pinball's tower to go to his actual library there, or to just see what was going on. We also had Pip teaching Yoth black magic, which was pretty much squid ink pasta, which Kyle is very good at describing food.
Yeah, mood.
Yeah. So we went to the library, which was vastly bigger than the one that Pinball actually had connected to the library, and he explained that he didn't find it needed anymore since the king was no longer around, the rebellion no longer needed to hide as much. And while we were looking, we found out that in terms of the Shadowfell portal, after extended periods of time in the Shadowfell, people tend to be saturated with like negative energy and doing more damage to you the longer you stay in that plane. And there was a guardian of the Shadowfell called Trandulode. I think that's how it's pronounced. I cannot remember. It hates existence on the plane and constantly looking for escape. Not good. And also, creatures on the plane are weak against the influence of positive energy. Ezra had arrived with Pinball to work out a stain situation. I wonder where and wonder how. Right. And Nyx, I wonder who looks at Aiden / Yoth. Nyx changed their appearance from Bridget to an androgynous elf named Dell, and the group left. Back outside in the Pearl District, they bumped into Tybalt, who invited them to join him to the Reynard Manor to meet the new owner, who was Anika. And it was also revealed that Primeheart wouldn't have to worry about losing his land, because if you had laid claim in Skyroot Forest before the new rule was in set, you can hold on to that land. So Primeheart and the Green Iron Village were able to keep their properties as they were. Good. As we got to Reynard Manor, there was a hawk that the group had encountered as we had left Pinbull's Tower. And Oshin stayed with the hawk to talk with it, as it was an interesting conversation bird earlier. Pip, Mari, Lark, and Dell went and spoke with Anika, her talking about what she was going to do with the place, maintaining its historical worth as it had to be, and even offered Pip a job as her chef. Meanwhile, at the gate, when Oshin was talking with the hawk, it accused him of being false and a cheat. Oshin tried to detect magic, sensed that something was off with this bird, and rage grabbed it. It warned them 3 times to let it go. When they didn't, the hawk then turned into a triceratops and landed on Oshin. Pretty much planted itself on him. Squish.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a lot. While that was going on, Yoth went to visit Eris at their apartment, at his apartment, and did a moment of conclave, which is an ability that the Braith have, which they can commune with each other, have a shared experience. And Eris pretty much realizes that Yoth is hurting and dealing with a great deal of pain, and offers to assist wherever he can, which I think Yoth accepted. I'm trying to remember. I think he did. I don't remember, and I was in that session.
Yeah. He did. Yeah, because we don't have 100% of the details worked out yet, but basically Braith have to conclave with each other occasionally to sort of like clear their heads almost.
So yeah, it was a Braith necessity. And then jumping back to Reynard Manor, noticing pretty much a bird turn into a fucking triceratops. Mari pretty much said, I'm pretty sure that's all you have, at least for now. And the triceratops revealed itself to be Ezra, because he picked up, after a few accidental things that were said by Pip and Oshin earlier and referred to Nyx, started questioning Nyx if they were Bridget, for pretty much not going to the temple and doing what she said, and even casting Moonbeam on them and revealing their actual form, not the pseudo form that they tend to show themselves as. That pretty much pissed off Nyx, and Ezra used a Zone of Truth to find out that yes, Nyx was Bridget, and then also used a beetle on them, which pretty much put a curse on Nyx to teach them a lesson in humility, as he said. And to this day, I still don't know if that curse is still in effect. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not happy. Oshin was not happy, and the rest of the party not exactly in agreement with what happened and what Nyx did. Yeah, that was a session. That was an ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was session 65.
Oh fuck, it's my turn now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll.
Documents. You work with us so well.
Documents, you fickle bitch. Sorry. I'm sorry that I'm like... So... I just... Oh, fuck.
Did you lose the place again?
Yeah.
You want one of us to grab it?
Okay, no, I got it. I got this. Session 66, Whereas 9th, 1199. November 15th, in our real world terminal. The characters are Callie, Finku, Nathan, Mari, Owen, and Prime. Callie is working on the house/temple she rented from Boss. Mari decides to go help at the nature temple after what happened the previous night. Owen has been training his part of the militia at the pseudo barracks. Primeheart spends the morning before it dawned building a fence around his camp, fully defining his border. Then he goes to the nature temple before heading to Callie's temple. Primeheart asks Callie about how her worship goes, as he wanted to learn about it. Callie tells him about the prime gods and how to be connected with all of them. She talks about centering yourself, feeling your bare feet connected to the earth, the celestial egg. Each segment being a part of the whole. As the two talk, they embrace and join together on the temple floor. Join together. Nathan actually ends up goes looking for Owen in the morning. He offers to talk over sparring, to which Owen agrees. Owen uses his whole sparring avoiding Nathan's strikes, dodging and ducking until Nathan gets frustrated in his strikes and eventually makes a strike too powerful and Owen knocks him onto his ass. Before spending some time he does that before actually spending time teaching him some technique. Finku spends the morning continuing his construction on the rifle using the plans from Mickey. He also manages to create 3 cartridges. Later at the beer forge, as the group steps into the beer forge, they're all met with a smell of the bomb Yoth had thrown, along with Ivy asking Finku if, 1, it's his, which it isn't, and 2, who actually made it. He manages to find the maker's mark, TTG. The group brainstorms and comes up that it could be Tinker the Goblin, and Finku asks if they can go check. Before the group leaves, Callie goes to Ivy and apologizes for which she sees as wasting a gift. Ivy responds that isn't the case, and it wasn't intentional. As the group gets ready to leave, an auburn-haired woman comes in, dropping a letter on the counter. Owen recognizes them as Red as they leave, without talking. Callie goes to head after her, but can't keep track of her in the crowd. Primeheart makes a point to go and find a diamond for Revivify. Then we head to the Green Iron Village. As we head into Gamp, we see the goblins putting up signs and fences up around. After some questions to Boss, we find out that Tinker absolutely did make this, and everything was requested for by Yoth, to no one's surprise. Boss also shows his Rubascrub statue. The group then gives alternatives for the statue, one of those being GB instead of Boss, which is just this golden retriever, this auburn white, basically like a star, like a horse. Good puppo, taking a scrub. It's very good. Pure 10 out of 10 content. We then head back into town, and we see a large tower of smoke in the distance. After making their way through the city into the Pearl District, they find out that it's Nathan's house. It's completely engulfed in flames. After attempting to put out the fires, the group sees the Tiefling and the Goliath, Akmon and Chicken Fingers, as we so call him, watching the fire. The guards go over to the group after Owen asks them. The group eventually comes over, once again asking for the name. We refuse to give it to them and tell them to leave. They keep poking for a little longer, and eventually Primeheart gives them the name Duella, who's responsible for all this mess. The two also say that they're heading out of town. They admit to dragging Nathan's family name through the mud. Then Owen asks the guards to arrest him, but the guards then produce a decree from Anika. Jesus Christ, I lost my place again. They cannot be touched. After the group lets the two leave, Owen tries to get a meeting together for Tybalt and the party to talk about this new information. Finkel also uses this intermittent time to go and report to Ivy the information of who made the ball before heading back. The group have the meeting. During this meeting, it is discovered that all of the Dawn had the same protections that, Akmon and Chicken Fingers do, meaning without any physical damage, there's nothing they can do legally to this group, and that they're at an They also agreed to do an investigation into them, but even with that, they could still do nothing. As the meeting comes to an end with them thinking about Daisy or Rosie being their contact, the group splits off as half go to the council with the other half going to the Chalice to start. The council group gets a meeting with Anika. That's when Nathan asks why she wanted the business, and her response is to get it out of the hands of their family, to help her people from... Nathan tries to understand this, but he tells her that all he wants between them is no bad blood or grudges, and that he tells her to treat it well. And he thinks she will. After testing Nathan's resolve, she shows him that she has given him 50% of the business. She gave it back to him the day after taking it, and that he can still be a lead artist. She then apologizes for testing him, but she needed to do it to gain her trust. Nathan explains this to Owen, who had stormed out during the time. At the Chalice, during their sparring, the vessel appears to Callie, Primeheart, and Finku. She's asking about Nathan's brother in regards to their patron. They then tell the group that they were hoping they'd get along so that they could work together to keep the portal open, Nathan and Akamon, as their patron doesn't want it closed. The vessel then tells them that they just have to... Wait. Yes, they then tell them that they just have to bring out the big guns to stop them. As the vessel turns away, Callie steps forward, ready to attack, but instead grounds herself and waits for the moment to pass. And so ends that session.
Yep, that was another one that was kind of heavy, and then it got better at the end.
That session was a lot.
Yep. Okay, so we're almost done, guys. Just got a couple more. Session 67. Wayara's 10th, which was November 16th. This one had Primeheart, Nyx, GB, Syl, O'Sheen, and Connor.
I don't.
Oh, can you not hear? Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah, there you are.
Huh. Okay, sorry. Where did you hear me till?
Connor. And that was it.
That's all you need.
So...
That's all you need. Connor.
So,
Nick and Callie all in one session is going to be a fucking ton.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it is. So,
what I remember of Connor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone who hasn't been watching from the very beginning, Connor is played by Loki, who is one of our players that had to take a break for a while. His original character that he played with was Lennox, but he decided to bring back a different character for the second arc. And so this is everyone's first time meeting Connor as our current characters. So that morning, Primeheart woke up and he and Callie watched the sunrise, and then she went to her temple and he went and worked on his for a while. Bridget took a day off from the Greasers Union because of the curse, and instead wandered around Cinderhaven in disguise as a red-skinned tiefling with a broken horn. Gabby, I just saw that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll explain that after the recap, y'all.
You can't do this to me!
We'll explain after the recaps, y'all. Continue, Heather.
Okay.
It was not okay.
Yeah.
Yes!
G decided to perform as a street musician at the Tea Garden. Syl spent time with her mother and Dub, and then went to work on the mural outside her shop. And O'Sheen contemplated what had happened with Nyx and realized that their bad feelings about the situation, at least in terms of Nyx, had passed. And instead they were worried what Ezra was going to say to Pinbull about him, and also what Ezra was going to think about them going to the Nature Temple again to help. Everyone met up at the Beer Forge. Primeheart brought an oil diffuser to try to get rid of the scent. and GB found a soup bone in his bowl near the bar. Nyx came in as the tiefling and then introduced themselves to GB and Primeheart. Oshin apologized to Nyx, but they made peace with it. Like, the two of them are fine, which is good. Aldion walked in with Connor. He is a pale man with blonde hair, dashing good looks, 5'9", with a lithe but not skinny body. There's a lot of description of Connor, and well-made clothing under studded leather armor.
Important. Those descriptions
very
are
important.
Have you seen his icon? It's very important.
Yes, I understand. Heather understands. Soxy doesn't care. Introductions were made, and someone advised Connor to avoid Nyx's flirtations. Oh, to avoid Nyx for flirtation reasons.
Yeah, he pretty much said down, changeling, down.
We found out from Aldion that the scouts found Connor leaving the Undermist. He remembered entering, but he didn't remember anything that had happened inside. And he's been there in the Undermist since before the library was built. He's been in the Undermist since before the vampire became the king.
The founding of the university.
Before the founding of a ton of stuff in town. Like, he's been in there for a really long time, and he doesn't remember anything. He also asked about Cicely, because he remembered Cicely from the bar. So he went and talked to Ivy and introduced himself, and she remembered his name, pulled up an old book, and found that he still owed a tab. And then talked with her for a while. He talked to the group about not knowing anything that was going on, and about the friends that he hadn't met yet, since not everyone was there. A lot had changed since Connor was last in the city, so the group spent a lot of time showing him around and kind of filling him in on some of the things that have happened since he was last here. And then they went to Mo's tower, and Electro Swing was playing as they showed up. Mo answered the door in a maid outfit, complete with a little feather duster, and apparently had gotten both out of Pinball's dresser, which did not actually surprise anyone. Let's see. Everyone settled in and hung out there for a while. GB got to try a dog-safe margarita, and they talked about the tomes of transcription, which Connor didn't know anything about, but he did know Hobbes. And so when GB refers to Hobbes and his dad's book, Connor knew who Hobbes was. Oshin went and talked to Pinball about joining them. And Eris Kine showed up, moving slowly towards the tower. So Primeheart, GB, and Connor met her for the first time. Pinball arrived a little later, after getting himself cleaned up from having worked a lot up in his tower. Well, what we think is a tower above the city. Eris Kine described a flower that has black and red petals, and Primeheart recognized it as a mythological flower called Demon's Tooth. She had found out from some of the older Goa that might be a possible cure for the problem Syl has with the Blight. So, not surprisingly, the group decided immediately that they needed to go try to find this. Connor talked to everyone about the Goa and about the situation and was willing to go with them. And Pinball and Oshin went back to the workshop, where Pinball started getting things ready for some sort of ritual. And specifically, he said he was going to make sure that Oshin came back, which none of us really knew exactly what was going on until later. We also, Pinball gave Oshin Sunjoy berries, which turn energy spell types from 1 into radiant, so we could make, say, a fireball do radiant damage. And Eris Kine gave Syl a vial of granulated air shale, which could be used to augment spells. And they got some weapons out of the closet. and found, and a lot of people grabbed some of the Ursali's touch to take with them for the potions since they were going into the Shadowfell. GB, O'Sheen, Bridget, and Connor went and talked to Aldion. They told him where they were going, and he gave them a few healing potions. Syl went and talked to Dub just in case something happened, and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Primeheart went and talked to Callie, let her know what was going on, and got a flask of holy water and a holy symbol for O'Sheen from the Nature Temple. O'Sheen had taken to the nature and light goddess Adea, who's a Furbolg shepherd of the dawn. So Primeheart got him that holy symbol. Then they went down into the tunnels and made their way to the stone pillars and eventually into the Shadowfell. There were a lot of misty textures and creatures everywhere, and not creatures, features. And it was almost like a flip side of the real world. So things were very rotted looking and decayed looking and just looked old and rotted and decimated. Primeheart said that from what he remembered, the Demon's Tooth flower grew near rotting things and buildings. So they went towards the Bilgeport area there and started looking around, and then they went up the cliff to the top. They had to climb up, though, basically, and started looking around. GB was able to cast Fly, so she was able to take people up quickly instead of having to climb all the way. And at the top, they saw a couple of bodies on the ground next to a blanket, which, of course, they didn't recognize at the time, but it was the picnic blanket. As they got closer, they saw that the bodies were Seldana and the king. The king's body sort of exploded, and a bunch of dire leeches came out and started attacking. Meanwhile, Seldana's body sort of flashed, and then she almost became spectral and floated up and started attacking them. And she was doing a lot of shrieking, so she came back as sort of a banshee-like creature. They finally were able to kill the leeches and stop the Seldana-like spirit from attacking them, and noticed that there were hundreds of people shambling towards them from the city. So they had to flee very, very quickly. GB was the last one left on the cliff by himself, and a happy, more familiar Seldana sort of spirit showed up and offered the Demon's Tooth flower to GB, because at this point they still hadn't found any. And she simply whispered, "Find me," before Syl grabbed GB, and they all headed back through the portal and to their homes. So that was another very, very heavy episode. We've had a lot of heavy episodes lately.
Yeah, just a lot.
Yeah. We should have a beach episode.
We live by a lake, but it's winter at the moment, so doing a beach episode, we'd be freezing our asses off.
We're not a shoujo anime.
Listen, we can be a shoujo if we want to, Heather. Let me live my anime dream. I want a beach episode.
Wow.
Anywho,
what do you expect from me?
I love you, Hayden. All right, guys. Last episode, and then it's time for questions, which we have a good lot of. I've been kind of collecting them, so we'll go through those in a little bit. There are a lot, so please stay patient with us, and if they bring up some more questions, then we'll get to them. So, session 68, Wearis 11, 1199, 1117. There's a lot of 11s in this date.
Yeah.
So the night before, O'Sheen and Syl dropped the Demon's Tooth flower off to Pinball. By the way, this particular session includes Soxy, GB, Syl, Lark, and Callie, and Finku. They found Pinball passed out that morning next to a ritual he'd been performing. Something to keep... Sorry, it was the night before, not the morning. It looked like he had been doing something while the party went to the Shadowfell, and he tells O'Sheen that it was he tells Syl that it was to guard against a creature that is guarding the portal. He did something to lessen the restrictions so that they could go through without any sort of worry. Excuse me. That morning, GB puts on a puppet show for some local kids and their parents to earn a bit of change. Finko asks Daisy if she'd gotten or given information to the five, and she denied having any contact with them. Lark constructs a fence around his tree with a sign that says "Not for sale by owner," and Boss suggests that he could expand the paintball games into the city once they move there, and maybe get a contract to clean up after it. Lark asks Boss not to create anything else for Yoth, and offered to pay him to do no jobs for Lark. And to do no jobs for Yoth. Lark explained that he didn't like Yoth's decision-making, and Boss agreed to give Lark a heads up before actually giving Yoth any of the items he commissions. And then Lark helps Boss build a fence around the goblin area. Oshin finds Syl that morning to say that Pinball seems okay now and does want to see her sometime later today. And that is when she stumbles across Mo wearing homemade tights, who tells Syl, just go through the back door. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Pinball was not feeling great, but he did begin the alchemical testing using tiny amounts of the demon tooth. It's most likely going to be slow, tedious work. I apologize for the yawning. Didn't get enough oxygen before I spoke. Eriskine dropped off more air shale for Pinball to do tests against. Callie, in her exhaustion over learning that that Primeheart had gone to the Shadowfell, orders the biggest beer possible, and Ivy pours an iron into the Sicily special mug for Callie, which is almost a gallon-sized mug, which she did not finish. She shared, because that's a lot of beer. It's too much beer for any one person to drink at any one time. But the party begins to discuss their family, spurred on by Syl discussing her mother. And GB decides that maybe everybody should go visit everyone else's homelands. And even though the Syl said the Goa City was not open for visitors now, maybe it would be in the future. Saxu is conflicted about going to Lamina Island because she doesn't remember her life there, and doesn't remember why she left, and does she really want to remember? Syl wondered whether or not the Goa had done something to earn their airshell blight, but she also questioned how the Makers died and why her mother wouldn't tell her until she returned home. The party decides to do something interesting, and try to find a scroll of water breathing in order to go investigate the sunken castle. And as they're doing so, a sign appears that the party has not noticed before, which leads up to a storefront called Arlen's Alchemical Oddities. And the party feels compelled to enter, and they walk through the space between two buildings that they didn't think had existed before, and up a stairwell, into a door where a small brass bird cage with a brass bird chirps at them as they enter. Inside are walls and rows of ointments and oils and herbs, unguents, crystals, bins of spell components, arcane focuses, more holy symbols than you could shake a stick at, just decorating the entire store. Callie immediately goes over to the holy symbol section and finding holy symbols to every deity in the pantheon, new and old, sets about creating a charm holy symbol of all of the prime deities' symbols onto one necklace surrounding the dragon tooth that she has. And while she's there, picks up a holy symbol to Un, the nature deity for Primeheart. Finku finds a arcane spell focus, which he purchases. Arlen introduces us to his companion Fez, who is there to help with any purchases anyone may have. GB looks for some employment, being fascinated by the shop, but Arlen wasn't hiring. GB asked about volunteering, and Arlen told him he could return tomorrow, and they'd try it out for a little while. There is a huge jar of Ursali's Touch on the counter, which was a little more than half full. So the party buys a bunch, and also buy a water-breathing scroll and a few other various potions. As they head towards Bilgeport to jump into the water, Soxy is on the lookout for Jinroth because she is worried about him coming to collect on that death. GB casts water breathing on the party, and they head to the sunken castle. As the party gets to the rubble, they find people submerged with air tubes connecting them to a ship above them. And the party go to say hello, not wanting to be rude and not wanting to cause a fight over salvaging anything below. Callie swims up to the ship and tries to pass herself off briefly as a mermaid, but then decides may as well just be forthright, and learns that they are part of the Black Steel Corporation, the other adventuring guild that we had heard would possibly coming to town, the more organized one. People do a little bit more of profit sharing, and it has a very pleasant conversation with the person on the top of the ship. They're saying that they have 5 or 6 more ships that will be coming in. And so as the party scavenges, they don't find a whole lot of worth. Everything seems to have been pretty waterlogged or picked over. A couple of art objects, a small wooden holy symbol that to the god that the king used to worship. Finku found a piece of art by the maestro. And as they continue to explore, Callie and Syl saw a bunch of debris piled into an opening. A sword, a hilt covered in barnacles, which appear to be much older than if they were from the actual castle. So as they try to pull some of these off the barnacled rock, they realize it is not a rock at all, but a squid-like creature with claws that attacks the party. And as they fought, the crew of the Blacksteel One begin converging on the fight to help them. And luckily, they show up just as the party is struggling to fell the beast and deal the killing blow. Although the party did pretty good on their own.
Did pretty damn well. Finku did like 47 damage in one hit.
Finku was
Christ.
a freaking champ.
Finku is lit, y'all. Listen, I've always been in that little funky dude's corner.
Yeah, so he did amazing.
As the group, their spearfishing goes into the creature, they get embedded, and the party helps the Black Steel Corporation pull out the fishing spears. And the party and the crew agree to share the corpse of the creature up onto the ship to make the findings easier to harvest. And so they split it. And the party finally made some friends, new allies, and a little bit of money, which that loot will be coming later to those who played. Well, to the group as a whole, not just to those who played. And that is our recap.
Hey.
Good job, guys.
God damn it, Caden.
Alrighty.
I think you mean thank you, Caden.
God damn it, Caden.
So,
no.
How are you guys doing there? You guys doing
Those
good?
sessions were a time.
Those were a time, indeed.
There was a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot that happened all at once.
Yarp.
Yep. So, not bad. It took us about 2 hours to recap those sessions because they were a time, indeed.
Yeah, given how much how many sessions there were and how much happened, yeah.
A lot happened.
Yeah. This was one where there were very few sessions. I think there was like maybe one that was a shorter recap because most of it was the fight. We had a lot of shit go down in the last 2 weeks.
A lot of, yep.
That leads us to our favorite time, questions. So
and chips.
Questions and chips. I have been pulling over your questions from chat. I've got quite a list. There's a long one. So let's get in. There are some that are to the group as a whole. There are some very pointed questions, but we'll get in. Some of them are for questions that for people who are not necessarily in the Countless Chronicles, but are in chat, so might be able to answer for their perspective.
There we go.
Start at the bottom from the first ones we received today, and then I'll work our way up to the top because I think that is only fair that those folks
started from the bottom. Now we're here.
The first question that we got today is from Angela, who I don't believe is watching at the moment, but that is A-okay. And the question is for both me, Callie, and Primeheart, who Zach is our moderator along with Fennec when she could pop in tonight. So let's see if Zach feels like answering this on his behalf as well in the chat. But what were the circumstances that led Callie and Primeheart to each take a level in each other's class, monk and cleric respectively? Will there be any downtimes describing this?
That's a good question.
Callie has been working on potentially multiclassing for a while. It wasn't a sudden decision. And even if she and Primer had not gotten together, she probably still would have, but I don't know that it would have been this sudden. Primart has had a very big impact in the way that she sees the world, especially when it comes to Airshale being a part of nature and being something that should be used because the Mother Dragon put it there for our use. It is still something to protect and to use sparingly, but it doesn't mean that the use of it is bad. So I had already kind of started along the thought process of having her multi-class. It made a lot of sense for her to be doing that. Also, from a meta standpoint, I did take a cleric away. I thought I'd try and add maybe a little bit of a cleric back in, even in a little bit more limited capacity.
From a meta standpoint, thank you.
Yeah, no kidding.
I would have brought Nixon as a cleric, but I'm like, that makes no fucking sense for this character.
No, like, yeah, literally my backup character, I have a paladin and I have a cleric. So
Reminder, we don't talk about backup characters on the stream, otherwise we have to do.
You cut out.
Okay. We don't talk about backup characters on our stream because then we have to donate to Trevor. So we have to remember that one.
I will donate.
No worries. As Zach is saying, there may be some downtimes of them discussing it, but both of them really, I agree, they've shared a lot of their faith with each other and have seen the similarities. Well, let's see, we'll get into this a little bit. Callie's upbringing is very similar to someone who was brought up in a cult. She's only ever seen the world through the eyes of her order, which is heavily faith-based. So it made sense for her that spirituality was a very big part of her character. So multiclassing into cleric was not too far off the mark, but the fact that there's such similarities between their beliefs, I think, really, really helped. So, and Zach says the Primeheart was a weak bitch and he needed to punch and kick and punch at 28 years old. So I don't think he was a weak bitch.
He is a good boy. He is a good boy.
I fucking love him.
I love him.
Oh, Joe has joined us. Hi, Joe.
Hello. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome.
Alrighty. So our next question is from the illustrious Fennec. How long will it take the group to set Rosie up on a blind date?
If Nyx has anything to do with it, not very long.
Just going to say,
of Rosie,
depends on the character.
Oh, is Jenny there?
Jenny just walked into the room. Speaking of Rosie, hello. No. We're on stream. Jenny. My mic wasn't on, honey. Hello.
Okay. What happens? Sometimes we have cats. Sometimes we have Jenny. Sometimes we have random children that pop up in my background. So it's okay.
Oh, they just
sometimes,
like deer in a headlights.
If we're really lucky, we have a Douglas.
Hey.
So I apologize for that. Hey, Mr. Mattingly, how are you? Did you know that you were one of our winners from our Nerds Giving, Mr. Mattingly?
That's right.
So if you could please get in touch with me either on our Discord server or through a DM here, I will be shipping you out some good goodies for being a donor. Thank you so much for helping us support Trevor.
Yep, there are lots of good goodies.
Also, hey, Zach, I need your address as well, my friend. You also are a winner.
Yep.
So, thank you guys.
Congrats.
We really appreciate everything that you do for this stream, Zach, and we're very happy that you won as well. As Gabby was also one of our winners, so we had a couple of people.
Yeah.
Actually, Fennec is not here right now, right?
No.
If Fennec is
she
here,
had
I
to
will
step away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had to go.
If Fennec comes back, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, Mr. Mattingly, let me get you the new link. We just changed things around a little. Let me get it for you. Don't use the link that's on the Twitch page. 'Tis wrong.
So are we answering Fennec's question?
Yes, go for it. Let's answer this question.
No, I have that answer already as someone who lives with Rosie, both in game and out. Nathan wants her to be happy. His main goal is to make sure she finds happiness, but not through someone else. He wants her to find happiness in who she is. And so he wouldn't mind, like, he absolutely wants her to understand that she is wanted, that she is desirable. He wants her to know that. Kaden personally would love to set her up with Daisy and Finku. That's a very biased opinion. But Nathan just wants her to find security in herself, and if she finds love along that path, then that's absolutely wonderful.
That is a good answer.
Yeah, I think this one, a lot of it depends on the character in question.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really, I think I've mentioned it before when we start talking about ship stuff, but we haven't really figured out exactly how we're doing kite and like mating, for lack of a better way to put it. Down with the face, Kaden.
Leave me alone.
Because of that, I'm playing Soxy as a little more asexual and not really having any interest in it with anyone. So for her, like, she understands Rosie wants something, but she's not necessarily going to understand how to help her get to it. So she would probably try to stay out of it.
And for Nyx, they're a very sexually active person. They don't deny it. They obviously show it a lot. But in terms of like setting Rosie up, they would, but they don't know her well enough to know who they would set her up with. That's the thing. If I were Saldana, that's a different story, because the answer would then be, I don't know. But as Nyx, they would need to get to know Rosie and honestly a lot of the other characters a lot more in order to figure out, okay, how do I set you up with myself or other people?
How do I set you up with myself? That is such a mood.
Yeah.
That's me at half of these characters.
Yeah. I'm embodying you.
Callie does not know Rosie very well, but she thinks that Rosie needs to really realize where her power comes from, and it's not from anyone else. It's from herself, and she needs to take charge of that before she steps out with someone else. Although I personally would be very happy to see Rosie happy with somebody. So I believe I did see a ship come in, which is a Rosie Haley ship.
Yes.
I
am on board.
Fennec is here. Fennec is here for a Rosie Haley ship.
Same hat.
That would be adorable.
Pure. Oh God, that's kind of painful because Rosie was rejected by Nathan and Haley was rejected by Mari. Oh God.
Yep.
Shit. That's good shit.
Although I will say
write that shit.
That the relationship that Rosie has with Owen is the fucking purest, and I love it.
My
to
God.
Ship them though. I
don't
friendship
ship it.
I friendship them.
I bro TP. Bro TP, Rosie and Owen.
Fuck yeah,
bro TP all the fucking way because their personalities are so fucking great together. They just work so.
Bar TP.
Autumn,
Sure,
that is absolutely a fanfic. By the way, if you write fanfic of Countless Heroes, please tell me. I will read the
Send
shit
it to
out
me.
of it.
Please send
Yeah.
it directly to
Add
me.
the
At,
Everlow.
I think
At
pretty
us.
much the whole cast would read it very happily.
at
Yeah.
Eagles Piggle.
Or use hashtag Countless Heroes. Use hashtag
Yeah,
Countless Heroes, or
Please do.
like use that hashtag as much as you want, whether it be just to like share silly memes about us or just commenting on it. Just use that hashtag because we love it when people use
We
it,
do.
and we just love
Yes.
that more and more people are watching our show and getting into our community. It's amazing.
Yes,
Not to
actually,
love it.
Autumn, I fucking love the holy symbol you drew for Soxy. It is amazing. It made me so happy.
Also, I want to be the first person to say, if it is just to send memes, God, please do. I fucking love memes. Send all of your spicy fucking Countless Heroes memes my direct way. I like them spicy memes. Fucking Joe made me memes for Nathan, and I fucking can't handle it.
Those were great. We'll have
They were
Those
so
were
we'll have to tweet those
goddamn
out. Those are
good.
great.
Those will get shared. There was an art challenge that went out privately in
So
our private Discord that we use for chatting about the show behind the scenes, and everybody got
It was
assigned a
really
character
fun.
to do a art.
That was
piece.
pretty fun.
I can share mine really quickly because it's right next to me.
Mine's
I
in the
made Pip a Pip hat so he can
Yep.
wear it and actually have
Mine's in the
a
living
little
room.
braid.
Mine's in the kitchen.
Mine's actually at your house, Tessa.
Mine is, hers is at my house. I got to ship it off to Russell, so it's real good. But we will be sharing those with you guys. We'll probably put them into our mid-roll sometime in the next couple of weeks, so you guys can see the art that we've. Joe is in chat right now. I know his is almost finished. Logan is almost done with it. It is
Oh my
real
God.
good, Joe. It is
I
really
have
good.
no idea what it is, but I'm very excited.
I'm so
Got it.
excited. I'm so
Amazing.
excited.
All right. Okay. Next question. We have a lot of them, so I want to make sure we try and
Yeah.
get as
Oh,
many
yeah,
of them
yeah,
as we
let's
can. Angela says, how much will Rosie be irritated that we went to the castle without her? And will she get over it when we describe the treasure crab monster?
Mm.
I'm
No.
sure she's not going to be happy.
No,
She wanted to go where
I
the
live with-
shinies were.
they're shinies. She missed
There
out
are
on the
more
shiny-
shinies. There are still more shinies. It was not a one-day
Yeah.
job.
That's
No,
valid.
This
She's
is
gonna be really
like
upset.
a multiple visit job.
Guys,
Next
I can't
has been-
believe you went there without me.
I mean, to be fair, we tried a couple times and
Yeah.
no one wanted to go then. So
Well,
Valid.
and
and
now we have somebody who breathes underwater. So
you have to swim. There's water involved, which she hates.
Fair,
And
yeah.
there was also the situation of the caves, which apparently took precedent over going underwater.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
A little important, just a little.
sorry, I just got another question, so I'm pinning it so I know where it is.
Valid.
All the questions. It's so fun.
All right.
Sir. Yes.
Okay, there we go. I had to scroll back down. We've had a lot of questions throughout the day. It's been so I apologize. Fennec asked, with Akamon having this. Oh no, yep, that's the right one. With Akamon having the same patron as Nathan, how long do you think it will take Nathan to find a new patron in order to beat the vessel?
Oh God, you guys have no idea how much I've thought about this. There are several different routes I have in mind for Nathan. In the way he's going to approach this.
Did Logan just woo there for a second? Because I thought I might have, but I apologize.
I didn't hear him, but I am terrified and also going to know.
That concerns me. I don't play
Me
tomorrow.
too.
Have fun, guys.
I do.
Thanks.
I
Come catch Aiden
do.
and I tomorrow on Countless Heroes.
Nathan I have several plans for different paths Nathan could take. One of which is becoming either a cleric or a paladin. Or multi-classing into that because he's never had faith before, but now he has a reason and he has people who are examples of that. And he's never had that really before in his life. And he sees how strong and how confident that makes them. And all he's ever experienced with any form of higher being has been despair. He wants that to hold on to. So he might go down that direction. If you guys have been watching, Nathan has actually started training with Owen. There is a chance he may or may not multi-class into a Bard College of Swords. There's a lot of different ways you can go about doing this. But one thing is for sure. He wants to kill the King of Secrets. And he doesn't care how he does it. He just wants to get it done. Fucking, I think he's true neutral, y'all. Like,
there is a follow-up question to that was asked by Zach, which I am so excited for the answer to this. I'm very pleased. Is it at all likely that Nathan might make a pact with the Garlic Princess from the Undermist? And would we prefer that over Miss Shatterface?
Miss Shatterface?
I'm thinking that might be the name for the vessel, is Miss Shatterface.
Fucking Christ. The fucking garlic lady, that would be lit. The old garlic! It would be a pact of the Fae. I don't know mechanically how that would work, but that could be really interesting switching from Pact of the Fiend to Pact of the Fae, considering how much of his personality is based in Fiend. So that could be very interesting. I don't know.
I love it. James
Garlock.
I'm throwing all of my concepts in the trash for Garlic Warlock, and that
The Garlock.
makes me happy.
Garlock.
The Garlock.
Yes, I approve.
Good lordy, Lou.
I might
I'm
do
here
it
for it.
simply for the
I'm
pie.
here for it.
Listen, me and Aiden have already made the bro lock. It's you get your patron is your bro. You get your magic power from the love that comes from your bro. It's a bro lock.
Oh my fucking god.
I really want to make that a subclass. I desperately want to make that a sub.
Because of the subject, one of my crack ships just popped up in my head. Do you guys care if I share it really
Yeah,
quick?
sure.
Go ahead, that's the part of this segment.
Rosy chicken fingers.
Oh.
I don't like it.
It's a crack ship.
Good God.
It's awful. I'm so
It's
sorry.
Terrible and wonderful.
Terrible and wonderful. Rosy chicken fingers.
hey,
Chicken fingers.
guys, hate
Thanks, I hate
ship.
it.
I have a hate ship that I just thought of that I never want to think about ever again.
Oh, what is that?
Oh.
Especially after the analogy that was made between them. I'm just like, ugh.
Okay, well, please share your hate ship.
Nathan and Akamai.
Oh yeah, that's a hate ship.
That's
a
crusty.
hate ship. That's a hate
ship.
ship.
That's a crusty ship. I don't like.
Oh,
It
That's
needs some barnacles.
I don't want to
scrubbed
see
up.
that.
Never. Just
And they-
Chelsea in the chat. Oh God. Oh
That's
no.
what kids call a no TP.
that is a
Yes.
OTP.
Yeah,
That's what the kids call it.
seriously.
OTP. Jesus Christ.
Speaking of no TPs or OT3s, a question from Zach. Does the OT3 seem likely now that Nyx has talked smack about Kalinda, pissed off Primeheart's temple, and shot Primeheart in the heart? Albeit it was an
Nope.
accident. Is there room for redemption from them?
Not really. No.
No?
As Gabby,
It
I
seems
do not
unlikely.
see it. No.
Is Nyx still interested in the OT3 or no?
I mean, Nyx is interested in a lot of things, but
Same
true.
bitch.
in terms of context,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, this is going to be a bad situation. Let's not do that. We'll just be awkward coworkers who I slept with that one time.
Yeah. I could see it potentially happening like down the road maybe.
Yeah.
Like if it starts off as just a light, like there's nothing else, it's just you're gonna come have sex with us, and then eventually changes to something else.
Heather,
Like what happened to Callie and Primeheart, but
I was gonna say Heather, queen of sudden shipping.
What?
Tolas.
What about Tolas?
Sudden
What
shipping.
happened to Tolas?
Veritas and Larimore,
Larimore.
wasn't it?
Oh,
right.
Larry.
oh, at the
Like
end.
this,
That
yeah,
was great.
I was
That
like,
great.
what?
Mark for the Tolas reference.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys. I couldn't stop thinking about that.
Oh yeah,
Wild
speaking of
card
Tolos
bitches, I love
reference. Speaking of Tolos reference, I am not sorry for that reference to Torch. I'm not
motherfucker!
sorry.
That was
I
not
didn't-
okay. That was
I
not
didn't
okay.
see that.
Sure, okay.
So mad at you.
I'm gonna give quick context to the folks who don't know what the fuck we're talking about. A good chunk of us who are on the stream were in a previous campaign. It has been mentioned before, called about the Tolos game. I played a character named Torch, who, much like the tiefling that Nyx made themselves look like when they met Primeheart and everything like that, was a red tiefling male with a broken horn. I did that for myself, and Ange was
You're
right to
an
give me the
ass.
finger. I know.
You're
I
an
loved
You were an
it.
ass.
I loved it. It had to happen at one point. It had to happen at one point.
To be fair, if I had that ability, I would absolutely make my character look like a blue dragonborn with a scar on his face. Without hesitation.
I'm not
So-
sorry.
So, a kind of a follow-up from that OT3 question. On a scale from quiet talking to this is a really uncomfortable screaming match / ugly feelings, how will things go when Nyx and Callie just get a moment to talk alone? I'm gonna let you start. This is from Fennec, and I'm gonna let you start on this one, Gabby.
That's an interesting one to think about because it's been something I thought about because Callie and Nyx have not really met up after their Callie's first death. Like they have not met at all.
Yeah.
And Nyx will, I will say, Nyx will definitely have had time to cool the fuck off. But they're still kind of bitter at the moment because Ezra then cursed them. So they're kind of pissed about that. So they still have some negative emotions, but it's going to be a little difficult to explain. But I don't think all of their anger is at Callie anymore. Their anger is not at Callie. It's redirected somewhere else. So it would really depend on how it's approached and what is said. Because I can't really give a good answer on how Nyx will react because it really depends on what the context will be.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the same for Callie. Is we haven't really seen each other since anything has gone down. We've it's been strange. Callie's still figuring things out with Primeheart. On one level, and on the other level, she's still very attracted to Nyx, but she's also attracted to many people. So it will be an interesting conversation. I don't know how it's going to go either. It really does depend on the context of the conversation. Some things, as much as I would love to be like, everything will be peachy keen, it'll be totally fine. Sometimes you don't really know until you're in the character's head in that moment, and then things can fly off the rails real fast.
Yeah, because you could definitely think that your character is going to do one thing, but then when something like you're like, oh, my character's not going to react like that when that situation happens. But when it happens, you're like, oh no, they're going to react the way that I didn't think that they would. Like with Nyx reacting to Callie's death, I didn't expect to have them react the way they did. In a way, they were in that weird emotional neutralness. I don't know how to describe it. It was a much different reaction to when Mari had died. I will say that it was a much different reaction to that.
Yeah, there was definitely, it was a on Callie's end too. It was for someone who's always been like, I can keep this all very separate from my actual thoughts and feelings. The fact that started bleeding over in both the case of Nyx and Primeheart very quickly, she was like, what the hell is going on? I'm not used to this. I'm going to try and keep us rolling just because we have a lot of questions and I want to make sure we get to all of them.
Yeah, it's something we'll have to figure out in game.
Yeah. Fennec asks, is Callie's prime deity the Dragon Mother or the whole Dragon Pantheon? Her prime deity is absolutely Elumira Runa, the Dragon Mother. Though in what she has been taught is that the Dragon Mother birthed a single dragon to be the head of each of the domains. So she worships dragons in general. She feels that they are either celestials or demigods. But in her mind, the Mother Dragon is her prime deity, and then each single domain has another type of dragon that is associated with it. So that is how she feels. Like the trickery domain is a green. The first green dragon was the goddess of Twill, which is the trickery domain. So there is a dragon color, both chromatic and metallic, that represent the entire pantheon, one for each domain. So, but the dragon mother is the head of it. This one's also from Fennec. Quick ship-wise, Nyx and Connor is very fun to ship.
Yes, I agree.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then the question that goes with that is, so is Nyx still going to avoid the nature temple even after their lesson?
That one I've been vacillating on so far. The answer is yes. It is going to depend on some things that I ask Logan, which I'm going to keep a little. I'm not going to completely answer that one. I have to answer,
okay.
But yeah, I'm not going to completely answer that.
You never, as a guest on Countless Hero, you never have to answer a question if it's something you're not ready to reveal to the audience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's something
we'll get there someday. Is perfectly acceptable.
That's a thing that's going to have to be revealed in game, rather than out of it.
All right. This next question is for Nathan from Zach. How did Nathan lose his eye?
Okay, y'all. Well, the question is, like, do you want to know the actual reason or the reason I came up with? Because there's a separate story behind. There's two stories behind it. In game, 17 years ago, when all hell broke loose, Nathan wasn't home. He was in the streets and he was trying to defend someone. And someone attacked him, a human, and just started wailing on him. And he ended up shredding Nathan's face, including his eye. That's why his scar is so horrific. Horrific as in it's visceral. It's why he doesn't really have an eyelid anymore. It's pretty much just a socket. That's why he doesn't like showing it. He doesn't like taking his eye patch off. To him, it's a lot of pain, not just physically, but emotionally. And the fact that he held on to this scar, he knew he could have it healed for a very long time. He had even gone to Owen about it, if you all remember. Pretty early on in the series, he went to Owen about it. But he never started treating it. Well, he is now, because he realizes with the people he's found and with Mari, he doesn't need to hold on to that rage anymore. He doesn't need to hold on to that despair. He doesn't need that to drive him anymore because he's found something worth living for. And so he wants to make himself better by taking that away. So that's why he's healing it. Out of game. So, when we first started this entire charade, when I first made Nathan as a character, he had two eyes. I'm closing my sketchbook for this. He had two eyes. This bitch had two eyes. And he was very different. He was very kind of quiet, very sweet. And we were going by this thing, and Logan started describing this cloud of eyes, and I immediately knew what this bitch was, because my Dragonborn lost both of his eyes to this fucking cloud of eyeballs. And so what it is you have to make a con save, I believe, against it, and if you fail, it will suck your eyes from your goddamn head. Guess who was the only person in the party who failed?
I wonder.
It was fucking me, and his eye was slurped out of his face. And
that's an interesting word choice. God.
I liked that concept so much. Like, I had done a drawing of Nathan, which is the blood gouting from his eye with his hand up, saying, I think he said, like, you're gonna regret that or something. I don't remember. It's an old drawing. And I just remember looking at it being like, oh, that's part of who he is. oh shit, I'm keeping that. If I play this character for Countless Heroes, I'm keeping that. That's a part of his identity. And that's the story about Nathan lost his eye.
Yeah.
The Caden version.
The Caden.
That's your version, and then the other version was Nathan's.
Oh,
Exactly.
valid.
All right. Fennec asks Nyx, where would you take Callie for a date?
Well, I mean, they could always repeat their first date, which was go to a pub, get pretty damn drunk, and then go back to their place.
Fuck.
They're
I-
charismatic as fuck. They're not that good with actual doing date stuff. They're just like one and done kind of. They're a one and done kind of person.
I like how Zach is like, no, that's not where you take Callie on a date.
Just like get straight to the point. Just get straight to the point. Yeah.
Sorry, let me. Primark comes out and says that Nyx, you're wrong. That's not.
Yeah,
that's not how you do
I
it.
just imagine Primeheart rising from the ocean. You're wrong.
Zach
and going
literally
back
just typed that in chat, and I'm dying. That's not how you do
I
it,
mean-
apparently.
That's who they are. They're a pansexual disaster. They're a very sexual pansexual disaster, and I love them.
Oh, good lord. All right. Next question. Sorry, I lost it. Who do we feel is the most dangerous member of the five?
Oh,
Oh.
that's a good one. Personally, my biggest concern is the cloaked one because we know the least about him. And he disintegrated a fucking dagger by touching it.
That's
Yeah.
spooky.
That's concerning, especially Nyx hadn't, but considering that they had encountered Tyrell the last arc with all that necrotic magics, that's definitely concerning. Considering that at least 14 out of the 16 party members have encountered someone of necrotic magic, so I repeated that is not a desirable outcome.
I'm gonna have to agree with Heather. I think it's the cloak figure, but I feel like there's more to chicken fingers than we're seeing.
Oh, I think they're all dangerous as
No,
fuck.
yeah, no,
Let
I
me
They're
be
all
clear.
shitty as fuck.
But
yeah.
the cloaked one is concerning because
feel
we
like-
don't know anything.
I feel
Red
like
scares
Achemon's
me.
Red scares me.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
scares
that one
I
too.
The
feel,
Jesus out of me.
I feel like Achemon's bark is worse than his bite.
Here's my problem though, is that as Nyx and as Gabby, I haven't been in like a lot of sessions where I actively encountered them, so I don't really
They're Garbo.
just from what I know secondhand. Technically, I have secondhand experience with them, so I don't know that much. But the cloak figure definitely gives me concerns.
As someone who has extensive firsthand experience with these bitches, like I do actually really like Garrick.
Garrick.
Garrick. I actually really like him as a character. I think he's sweet. He's cute. He's very cute. I'm also very weak for Goliaths. We all know this.
We're not surprised by a lot of the things that you're a sucker for, Kaden. We're not surprised at all. We know you too well.
You know, the audience doesn't.
You react. We have a gif of you reacting.
Listen, that was
Yeah.
all, by the way, that was all visceral. That was real. That was just me
Yes.
being gay.
Yes.
We
For
know.
For anyone who hasn't been to our website, there is an Easter egg gif of Caden. GIF, whatever the hell you're supposed to say.
Gif Yankee.
Hidden somewhere on the site.
Gif Yankee.
All right. So, part 2 to the question that was asked a little bit earlier. Nathan, where would you take Amari on a date?
Okay. Caden isn't very good with dates. I'm sorry, Jenny. I personally am not very good at dates because my ideal thing is just spending time with people. I don't care what's going on. I just like spending time with people. But with Mari, I feel because Nathan is very inexperienced when it comes to romantic relationships, he would just want to do things that she liked. So just picnics in the garden or spending time together in the library, sharing their favorite books and what they find. teaching her how to dance, playing piano for her because he knows how to play. Just doing things that he knows will make her smile because he's seen it happen before. But Nathan probably ideally would take her on a picnic in a garden. Yeah.
That's adorable. Also, I just pictured the two of you as Beauty and the Beast.
Yes!
But with
Literally!
with the furriness reversed.
Fun fact, actually, in one of our downtimes that it will be posted, I've actually been making an analogy of the Beauty and the Beast between Nathan and Maury for a very long time. That's actually a part of their entire dynamic, is an aspect of that, because Nathan sees himself as a beast. I'm very into Nathan and Maury, y'all.
We know.
And
Never would have guessed.
I love Maury.
Part 3 and 4 of that for Callie, where would you take Primeheart on a date? And where would you take Nyx on a date from Phoenix? So I have to answer this as well. So, sorry, the cat is purring in the microphone. The place that she would take Primeheart on a date is to... she would go and try and take Primeheart out into the Banyan Forest, a little deeper in, away from his camp, and set up kind of a scavenger hunt kind of deal, where he could find little treats and clues, and then at the very end of the scavenger hunt, she would be there with a dinner and a blanket, and probably somewhere by a lake or something where they could swim, and then have fun. Which would start out sweet and probably end up, yeah. Yeah.
Just the way I like it.
Yeah.
God, they're so good. Please, Tessa, can you, for the audience, just so they know, I don't believe you verbalized their height difference.
Oh.
Like I am now so very familiar with.
Callie is 4'11".
That's how tall I am!
In her Triton form, because they are shorter than humans, I found out. Primeheart's pushing 8 feet, so there's a height difference for you.
That is such good shit.
Nyx is taller than Callie now. Nyx is taller than Callie now.
Y'all realize that?
I think most of the party is.
You guys?
There's a 3-foot height difference between them.
That is so good. Oh god, that is so good, y'all. That is good shit.
I was almost 6 feet tall as a half-orc and a dragonborn, and now I'm less than 5 feet tall. For Nyx, it would be very different. Nyx, I would take to the theater in the round and see some sort of interesting show where people were, being different characters than who they are normally during the day and putting on different personas to portray a story. And then would take them on a candlelit carriage ride through the city after dark when all the lights are out, and use the opportunity for a blanket in the carriage and the dark of the evening to do unspeakable things underneath said blanket.
They wouldn't have it any other way.
Tessa!
Yeah.
So, Kaden, you now have 2 ideas already created for you.
Boom!
He's broken.
Woo your woman.
Broke. So next question.
Tessa! I am so about that!
We know.
I love it.
I like planning dates, and I like making them very centered around people's personalities. The next question is for Nyx and Callie. I think this was from Zach, but I don't remember who. I think actually maybe this. I don't remember who this is
if
from.
It's the one I think it is, it's probably from Zach.
I think it is from Zach. Would Nyx or Callie offer to quote unquote conclave with Yoth to clear his head if it would keep him from throwing sticky stinky paintballs at citizens.
Yeah, that was Zach.
Yeah, that one was from Zach. I mean, Nyx would conclave with anyone that will let them.
What a mood.
There's got to be a reason for that conclaving. Aside from let me clear your head for Callie. There's let me keep you from doing something silly. There's got to be a different reason aside from that.
I mean, I can interpret that. Nyx can interpret that in any way. I mean, to interpret it in the fun way.
Clearing their head, Tessa. The phrasing.
Literally, the question says, would Nyx or Callie offer to conclave with Yoth to clear his head? I was quoting the question.
Okay, fair.
Hello, Aiden. Nice of you to join just as that question is asked.
Hi, Aiden.
Hi, Aiden.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, Nyx will conclave with anyone if they let them. So that answer. Yeah, yes, Heather, yes.
Good God.
Yeah, I think the better point though is that I don't think Yoth would, not in the quote unquote conclave way.
No.
Since Nick's got the wife and child backstory thing, like
Nyx is also all about consent. Yeah. Nyx is all about consent.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
Nyx does a lot of the flirtation, but should someone outright say stop, they will, because Also, at one point, they had a good passive insight, so so they would get a feel eventually when it's just like, okay, this person is beyond the uncomfortable that I'm used to. Like, they're not in the, oh, this person's flirting with me uncomfortable. They're in the, this is not comfortable. They know that line.
Yeah. Part of Callie's big thing too is that once Callie knows that someone is in a relationship with someone else, you are no longer fair game for flirting. Just immediately off the table. Unless it's... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, how when she found out that Nathan and Mari were together, she immediately stopped flirting with Mari.
And Pinball and Oshin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, she's not comfortable with, unless she has been given permission to flirt, or there is an understanding between all parties, that is an immediate no-go zone for her. So, kind of knowing that Yoth has a family, she's like, I can't do that. So,
yeah, and I mean specifically a family that he's mentioned, albeit briefly and kind of sidestepping some of the information, but he's mentioned them and has mentioned wanting to see them again and wanting to go back to them.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Speaking of Yoth, how about a question from Aiden that came in? Did true facts, Jay, true facts. Did Yoth kick the hornet's nest with a cowboy, and are they going to start gunning for him now? I think they're leaving town, actually, is what we heard. They're
leaving town.
They are they're heading out.
But
so I am sad by Red being in the splash zone, as it were, because she seemed really, really sad. And I wish that there would have been a way for I don't like that, Logan.
Logan just went, are they? In the chat.
I don't
Damn
like
it,
that.
Logan.
Logan, Dad, no.
I can sense the grin and the laughter. I can sense it.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I
can see it.
And then the Muppet Walk.
Well, he's not on stream, so I can't mark it, damn it.
He's chuckling. I can hear from the background. There's a maniacal I can hear it through my headphones.
Oh my gosh.
Shit.
Fear. One fear.
No
fear. The answer is chuckle. One fear.
A quick question from Autumn here. Will we be finding out more stuff from the quote-unquote prequels as we go, and it becomes more relevant to present time? I don't know. I hope so. There's a lot of good characters from the prequel that I would love to see
God,
come
yeah,
in
Yeah,
this
we've
little
already
cameo.
had a few
but-
mentions in cameos,
Mer-
like the University of Lady Enid. That was one.
Lady Enith, yeah.
The ships, Marina ships.
Yeah, Marina, the siren.
Marina. And then Connor, clearly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Hobbs.
To me, Hobbs, the Chalice as a whole, considering who was very active in it, Androska was mentioned.
Yeah,
because you
Droska.
picked Droska.
Yeah.
My boy!
Oh, Jocelyn was
yeah.
name dropped.
Yeah, Pip
Yeah.
Yeah.
dropped it on the
Fucking love Droska.
when we dressed up as our favorite heroes. Pip dressed up as Droska because he's the only other person who we knew who liked egg tubes.
Because Droska.
That's
Ashlyn, I think Ashlyn was mentioned.
Ashlyn was.
Yeah.
Yep,
I think she's
Ashlyn
been
was
mentioned.
mentioned. Yep.
I know.
She's the founder of the Forge Clerics
Yes.
Guild.
Yep.
I haven't been there. I don't think my character's been name dropped. So
Mine
And
hasn't.
she has
I don't think so.
not.
And mine hasn't either.
Well,
Uma's been- Uma has been
I was about to
mentioned.
say Uma actually has been
Uma has
mentioned
been
a couple
mentioned.
of times.
yeah,
Yeah.
my character has not been, and I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing, considering
find
who they
out.
are.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Because considering, well, we don't know because of the time jump that there was. Like, we're probably not going to make sense to a lot of you folks, but because considering how far the jump is between when those were and now, who knows if some of the characters are still kicking, whether because of their races and their ages, or maybe they did something stupid, or an adventure went hairy and they
Yeah.
died. So
Yeah.
For
we don't know if
example-
most of these characters are still alive or not.
For
That's
example,
the
like, my character could easily be alive based on race. Based on personality, however, they might be dead.
Yeah. And then whereas for my character from the prequels, Danny was a Faroche. And they only live for so long, and it's been long enough since the prequel games that she wouldn't have made it. Plus, yeah.
But
So.
I imagine now that the king is gone, we might see a few more things coming up for Ash, the sentient sword that tells stories. Was something from the prequels that has now been brought back. Arlen's shop was from the
Arlen Shop was from that, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what Logan throws our way. We'll have to find out.
Yeah. It's going to depend.
I've got another shipping question from Aiden. Question is, Bridget and Yoth discuss.
Discuss.
And we just put two
Oh,
pieces
shit.
together for Logan.
Shit.
That could be good. We never know.
Fuck.
I don't like that
This
sentence.
show is a blessing and a curse when we don't have
This
Logan.
show is a blessing and a curse. This show is definitely a blessing and a curse. We are almost to the end of our questions, and then we'll do a quick shipping because we're already almost at 10 o'clock. So we'll get through these next couple questions real quick, and then we'll do a little bit of shipping, and then we'll go ahead and let you guys go because it's already late. So Bridget and Yoth, discuss.
I mean, Bridget, you already know how Bridget feels.
Yeah,
Bridget's down.
I don't see it
Or up.
happening just because of Yoth's wanting to find his family again.
But
I mean, it's not impossible,
I don't
but
know. In character, I don't know that.
no,
so
I know.
flirting is still free reign.
Flirting them for sure is going to continue happening. But yeah, I get the feeling also from some of Yoth's previous interactions with flirtatious people that Aiden is planning to play the character as not being interested. If he's still in chat, he can confirm that one way or the other. But at least that's how it has appeared to me.
He doesn't have to confirm anything if he does not want to. That's true.
That's true. He does not have to.
That's that one.
Alrighty. And then the final question that we had, which is from Fennec. If our character had to pick a new class to start out as, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Hmm.
Aiden
Good.
says he's not confirming anything.
Good for you.
I have two potential.
Okay.
Bard, College of Swords, and Barbarian. Like Nathan's personality, his very intense, constant emotions. Like he feels a lot all the time. It would make sense for him to go into a rage. Like, it just would. It'd be weird not having magic, though. That would be weird.
Yeah.
For Nyx, I did almost make them a sorcerer. I when I was about to come into the game. I had the concept ideal for them before I was coming in as them, but I was still vacillating on their class until like it was getting a lot closer to me to join. I'm like, sorcerer would be really cool for them. And then I went with rogue, obviously, but sorcerer or maybe even fighter was what I was kind of leaning towards for Nyx.
Honestly, Callie would be a paladin.
I could see that.
Yes, she'd be a
for
paladin.
sure.
I can totally see that.
She'd be a
for
devotion
sure.
paladin for the Mother Dragon.
So for Soxy, it's a little tricky just because the way that we created our characters for the prequels, one of them was, we called it the darkness session, was basically you pick your race and that was it. Like, you picked your race and your name, and that was it. And everything else was decided as we played the session. And it was kind of random. You didn't get to choose everything. So in terms of stats, Soxy would make more sense as either a fighter or a barbarian. But in terms of personality and the way I'm playing her, I feel like if she was going to be something else, it would probably be either a cleric or a druid. One of those two.
I could see that.
Yeah. I know a couple of folks who are players or are in chat are answering for themselves as well. So Primeheart would be a ranger.
Oh, yeah.
Jay would be a nature cleric, I believe. No, Circle of Dreams shepherd.
That would make sense.
Circle of the Shepherd.
Shepherd.
Yes, I had something in my eye which was making it hard to read, so I apologize. I had lines blurring together. It's still in my eye, so I'll let you guys discuss.
Mari looks like Mari would be a nature cleric, according to
that makes sense.
According to Chelsea.
Yeah. Zach said Soxy could be a monk, and I could see that too, actually.
Joe says that Owen would be a paladin.
And Aiden says Yath would be a barbalian, which I would only assume is a barbarian paladin multi-class.
Yeah, that would be my assumption.
I could probably speak for Jenny by saying rogue. I feel like that Rosie would be a rogue. I honestly can't see her being. That's just me, though. I can't speak for her clearly. But
alrighty, so that is all of our questions. So
ship time.
It's time for your ships. Give me those good ships, ladies and gent.
I'm gonna be selfish. Nyx and Connor, honestly. Nyx and Connor is what I'm leaning for.
Connor, yeah, that's a good.
I think, yeah.
That is a good ship. I'm here for it.
Yeah. What's this? Nixnor? I mean, what are we gonna make the ship name? Is the prop? Connix. There we go. Connix. Yes.
That's very good.
It helps that Loki is also a very fun sport and very good about it. And also, I was getting the sense like, oh, he's flirting a little bit back. This is cool. It's fun. Even when Nyx was a male, like, he was flirting back a bit. I'm like, hello.
That fits for Connor from the prequels too.
Yep. Uh-huh. I'm trying to think.
The problem is a lot of the group has paired off with somebody, either from the group or separate already. So it's getting to the point where creating new ships is harder.
I thought of one that's a little self-indulgent.
Yeah.
It's very self-indulgent. Oisin and Nathan.
Really? I don't see it.
They get along. Whenever they've talked, they get along. Oisin, when Nathan's around them, he feels pretty calm. Relatively calm because of their kind of energy they give off is very sweet. And they're just really good and soft and gentle personality-wise, but they also can be very sharp and very like, hey, watch your shit.
I could see it as a crack ship.
Yeah, it's a crack ship.
Yeah,
crack ship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a crack ship
definitely.
for
Definitely.
It's a crack ship for sure.
I
was thinking about it. That's also because I'm super into Oshin as well.
Valid.
Chelsea in chat just said Owen and Nathan.
Don't do this to me, Chad.
I could see Oshi and Primeheart.
Oshin Prime.
I could see Oshin Primeheart. Yeah. Oh, and Lark. Zach is saying Lark and Syl.
Yeah, Lark
Yes,
and
I
Syl
could
is definitely
see
been a
Lark
crack
and Syl.
ship.
Aiden's in the chat saying probably won't happen, but I enjoy Bridge Goth banter. Red Pip. Red Pip. Aiden, no.
Okay.
No.
On Chelsea's note of Nathan and Owen, if you didn't think I wasn't playing with that idea since they fucking met,
Yeah.
you're like,
we know you.
Well, that and genuinely from if I had wanted it to happen, like it's fucking Nathan, it just didn't naturally progress at all. So I was like, okay, then that's clearly not what he's into. That's not what he wants. I had no intention with Mari whatsoever, and then they met. And from the get-go, Nathan was like, oh god, she's precious. I like this one.
Got some Callie Haley being thrown out there.
Oh!
Yeah.
I will say,
Rosie,
I was kind
Haley.
of into the Oshin Primeheart. I was kind of into that potential.
That's cute.
I was kind of into that.
I'm down for Ivy and Connor. I'm down for Ivy.
Ivy and
Connor would be good. Also, Aiden is putting out what I think he means is a crack ship. Nixra or Ezrix. Ezra and Nix.
No, I don't
that's
like
a no TP. That's a
no.
massive no TP.
Anika and Nathan.
Could see that.
Tybalt and Nathan.
Yeah, I was actually on
Holy
board
shit,
for
Tybalt and Nathan.
Yeah.
I was on board for Tybalt and Nathan for a while.
I was too, but I wasn't sure, and he was already developing feelings for Mari. So I just let him really.
It's pretty easy to ship Nyx with people.
That's true.
Nyx Nathan.
That's true.
Let's
not the Thomas version.
A little bit.
Yeah, no, not the Thomas version.
No, it would not get along.
Talk to me about some OT3 pairings then.
OT3s.
Yes, I have one actually.
Okay.
I could see because someone mentioned Haley and Callie, because Callie and Primeheart are both very nurturing of everybody. I could totally see Haley ending up part of an OT3 with Primeheart and Callie.
I'm down. Let me just be the first one to say that I am 100% open to this, Logan. Should Zach also be open to it? Glitter Giants. The Glitter Giants.
Pinball OT3. Yep.
Very
That's
good.
another good one.
That's a good one.
That is very good. I'm trying to think.
This would. Oh no, here's a cute one. Thank you, Daisy, Rosie.
Oh yeah, that's my OT3. No, that's my OT3.
Yeah.
I
love that.
I am already vying for that. Like, holy
100%
shit!
sure.
I have been on board from that from the moment that even started. I was like, they 3 of them.
Zach.
I love Zach's comment. That was best ever.
Yes.
Every ship with the Primeheart icing center is perfect. Yeah.
I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of
if it were ever to happen, like I could definitely see Nyx, Primeheart, and Callie kind of having that work out. But who knows now with things that have happened.
We'll see. We'll see where it goes. The best part is not pushing it.
I just thought of a very soft one that would work really well. Rosie and Mari.
That would be cute.
That would be a cute
That would be very soft and very sweet.
I just thought of one. It's not an OT3, but I just want to hear people's reactions. Now that we have a face claim for Aldion, who do you ship Aldion with?
Me! I ship him with me! Oh, fuck me up, Aldion! Fuck me up!
I like how reactions were just immediately me.
For anyone who
I have been
didn't
into
see the episode, Logan has officially decided that Aldion's face claim is Jason Momoa. So everyone everyone is
I'd
like,
hop on that so fast.
Aldeon and Sreet is a very, very good ship.
I
I like
I
it.
can see that.
Okay.
Jenny just peeked into the room and went, Rose.
I will say back to Arc 1, there was a very brief moment for me where I kind of shipped Saldana and Aldeon. It was a very brief moment, but a
Oh,
brief
that could have
moment.
been really nice.
Maybe. That was very brief though, and very short.
That would work.
oh, Owen and Aldeon.
Oh, don't do this to me. Oh,
Joe,
I
just
can't.
put
I have
that
to
in
leave.
chat.
I have to leave. I need to leave.
I'm kind of into it.
Totally see that.
Can I
Thank
be
you
put
for that,
between
Joe.
them?
Thank you for that.
Can I be put between them? Like, right now? Please.
OT3. Owen, Aldeon, Kato.
Oh,
I'm ready. My tiny twink body is ready.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, y'all.
I have a ship of the master of NPCs. I have a ship of Logan. I ship Logan and Sleep.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I did.
Yes. Very much. Very much so. He
He
deserves it.
I nailed it. I had a thought. It left my body like my mortal soul fleeing my corpse the moment
So
y'all
it
said Aldeon.
It yeet? Did it yeet?
It yeeted.
our comments yeeted Caden's soul out of his body for a second.
Yep.
I had one. I don't know what happened to it, but I had it. It was something. Arc 1, I actually, before really interacting with Mari, I actually shipped Nathan and Saldana. He actually, had he not developed feelings for Mari, he would have developed stronger feelings for Saldana.
Yeah, that was a ship that I think we, several of us had initially before she got forced to marry the king.
Yeah.
Prime Heart Saldana was a huge ship.
Yeah.
Prima Donna was a huge ship.
That was
Also,
big.
Chelsea just sent me.
J abso-fucking-lutely Marina Kelly.
Oh,
That would
yes.
be that is the hottest ship
Yeah.
right there.
And
Chelsea
she
just
has very
raised me
hot
one.
ships. Marina has some very good ships.
Chelsea just DM'd me specifically. I'm calling her ass because I can't physically handle it. Nathan, Mari, Owen.
Wait, say it
Oh.
again?
Nathan, Mari, and Owen.
Mari, Owen. See me as a person with that aesthetic. Hello. But the age gap between Mari and Owen, because there's already an age gap between Mari and Nathan. It's about 3 years, I think, 3 or 4 years, because Mari's not quite 30. Nathan is a little over. Owen is 42.
Yeah, I was about to say
He's already
older than both of you.
He is a decade older than Nathan, which isn't the worst. That's actually one of the reasons why I was considering that in the beginning, because I was like, oh wow, they're pretty close in age considering everyone else's ages. And I also am very attracted to Owen. We all know this.
Yes.
But like, no.
Contemplating.
Oh boy.
God damn it, Chelsea! Why'd you gotta go and do this? You're
All right,
evil.
let's see here. Any other? I mean, Callie is pretty much good to be shipped with pretty much anybody. She's very much in a relationship for the first time, because that's not been something that has been happening for her. It's always been a hey, let's have fun, bye. And then that's not so much happening right now. So
Heather, I have a question.
Yes.
You said you're playing Saucy as more asexual, but what about romantic interests? Does she have any? Sexuality and romantics are
Yeah, no, I'm kind of at the moment, at least, I'm playing her as more asexual and aromantic
okay.
because we haven't figured out what we're doing with Kite and culture
Reproductive
on that
system.
whole thing.
Yeah,
It's like
that makes
the big thing is, we haven't decided officially yet if we're doing like a mating season, in which case if we decide to go that that route would probably be fun for Logan, because he could just suddenly be like, your hormones hit, have fun.
Yeah, like welcome to Heat, bitch.
Yeah,
like
stock season Heat for the next month. Have fun, Heather, playing that.
Oh God, that'd be so.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh yeah, because Chelsea and I have talked about that, because Mari is now a Tabaxi.
Oh yeah,
Headcaning that. Oh my
yeah.
God.
No, it's I fully headcanon that Tabaxi and Tieflings and other mammalian based.
We don't want that we don't want the cats for Tabaxi. That would be really bad.
That would be really bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we haven't decided if it's going to be mating season style or if it's like year round, but then anatomically speaking can't mate with other species, because let's face it, you guys are all mammals and I am super not. So
No.
So
I mean, I've made it
different
self-proclaimed that Nyx isn't even capable of turning into a chitin. I've made that self-proclaimed, like there's no way they'd be fucking able to turn into a chitin or a Goa, as how I have it.
Goa definitely makes sense because they're made out of stone. It's kind of like, because the similar mentality, because lizard folk and dragonborns aren't technically mammalian. They're reptilian based. So it's under the same concept of, can a dragonborn or a lizard folk create, not the right terminology, with other races.
Right.
I personally have a character who is half dragonborn, which is clearly that's a fucking aesthetic choice. But the actual logistics behind it is very interesting. And I actually take great interest in that kind of shit because I think it's really super interesting. And I would love to talk with you about that, Heather. I would love to help you come up with that shit because I love science and biology. So like that's my jam.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do too, which is why it hasn't been decided yet, because I'm like, it could go either way. Also, Zach ships Soxy and the sword, which is that's fair.
Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah.
I have a strange question for you guys. We all have known each other for maybe with the exception of Gabby for at least a year, but pretty close to a year for Gabby now. So we all know each other pretty well.
Yeah.
What is an interest that you guys have, either academically or otherwise, that we don't know? I know Caden is super, super into art, but the idea that you also really like biology was kind of surprising. So what is something that you guys like that we might not necessarily know about?
If you wouldn't mind me continuing on, like what I was saying, I actually, growing up, like I've mentioned before, I have a very intense case of ADHD, and I have special interests. And one of my special interests growing up was animals, and it still is. I am obsessed with animals. So I would read I collected zoo books, and I would read a bunch of books about science and animals and biology because I thought it was just really interesting. So that's a lot of people don't really know that I'm super, super, super into science, the biology aspect, and literary analysis. I'm very into literary analysis.
I mean, I guess the thing I don't really talk about too much is that I'm personally interested in is that I'm very fascinated with mythologies of different cultures, mostly like European or even Japanese. I had a huge fixation on Japanese mythology and culture. Partly because I was a total weeb in my younger years, but then I had a deeper appreciation for it. So Heather, I'm going to shout out for Geek Thyself. Heather had an episode on Japanese demons and things like that, and I loved that because I did research on that because I was going to write a story on stuff like that because I was also Rick Riordan trash, still am. So I'm a massive fan of looking at mythology, learning more about them, and it helps me because I also like to try and write and come up with my own worlds and stories, and so getting like ideas from like real world cultures is very nice and influential. I would say the obvious, like, but you guys already know that I'm a massive theater nerd and singer, but mythology is like what I really love looking into mythology. It's a big fun thing of mine.
For me, this is a tricky one because I do a educational show that is basically me picking topics I think are interesting and talking about it for a half an hour. So, basically anything that's come up on Geek Thyself is something I have an interest in. Otherwise, I wouldn't have talked about it because I don't want to talk for half an hour about something I have no interest in. But in terms of things you guys don't know about me, I think Tessa might kind of know this, but Kate
I'm probably
going
to have to at least eliminate. I'm pretty much going to have to be like, yeah, Heather knows this about me.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me not to be like,
yeah, because we've known each other for multiple years.
Yeah.
I think we're approaching a decade.
Yeah, we are, because Logan and I have been married for...
Yeah,
we're
closer to a decade than we are away from it.
We're closer to a decade than not. So yeah, we've been friends a long time.
Yeah. So for me, one thing that I really like doing that I don't think everyone knows is crafting and sewing and things like a lot of DIY type stuff. Power tools, not so much, but anything that doesn't require those is okay. Like the box that I made for Russ for Finku for the art project thing. That's super up my alley. I love doing that kind of stuff. I've made Ren Fair costumes, and I sewed bridesmaids dresses for a friend's wedding back in college or right after college that were Renaissance themed wedding dresses. All the bridesmaids had to wear certain colors, so I made 4 of them, 4 out of the 8, stuff like that. Yeah, but I don't have a lot of time to do it anymore, so it's kind of sporadic.
Actually, I will say another thing that I occasionally like to do is, while I don't sketch as much as I used to, I do love painting when I can, and when I have the motivation, because I did a painting for Lark, which was a lot of fun to do, and I just have a lot of fun using acrylic paints, because that's what I much prefer to use, and it's a lot of fun. I'm still learning it, but it's so much fun to get to paint and do something creative with like the colors and messing with textures and what you can use to kind of make the texture looks like. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to think of what somebody might not know. I think Caden's known me for a couple of years now, so I think Caden knows me fairly well.
God, it has been a couple years now, hasn't it?
I'm trying to think.
Oh God, I love you, Tessa.
I mean, I'm the odd one out here, so I've only known you guys since this year.
I have an extreme interest in human psychology, especially when it comes to gender studies and human sexuality, as well as childbirth and development. And for a very long time, ran my own doula practice where I was a birth coach for a couple of years and wanted to study to be a midwife. So that was one random tidbit. I guess I can share my original game plan for life, which was I am a trained opera singer. So that was my goal, was I was going to be an opera singer. And then I had Kendall, and that dream went child. So Kendall's first show I like to joke about was Lion King on Broadway, not on actual Broadway, but in San Francisco. And I was pregnant with Kendall, and they were moving and bopping all around during that. And I joke with her because the first time that I felt Kendall kick, I was listening to the 1812 Overture and kicking in time with the cannon blasts. Historical recreationism. That's another thing that I have a huge interest in. I was actually, for a very long time, heavily involved in Civil War reenactments in California and Living History Days.
Another thing
that's really cool.
Like, I just thought about another thing about myself. I am super fucking into nail tech. I am really into nail art, and I'm really into cosmetics. So, like, I'm a makeup artist, which is kind of more obvious because I'm a cosplayer. But I, despite being a trans man, and I like appearing male because I am a dude, I also find very much pride and love and joy and happiness in making myself look beautiful, like using makeup. And I feel like that's something that needs to be more accepted by society, just in general. Hey, thanks, bye. But that's something that I don't normally express very much. But like, I know a lot about nail art, y'all. I also collect nail polish, so like
I would show off
This
my
I'm very
nails,
well
but
aware
they are atrocious.
Yeah,
I
mine are
have
janky
been,
right now.
I've
My
been a
nails are not special because
lifelong
they are
nail
very-
biters.
my nails are very short because they're just short. But my nails are they are now currently painted for my Air Ganassi Tempest cleric named Varys and
Nice.
Dagul.
Nice.
So
And then we've had Chelsea and Zach and Jay all chiming in chat with their things as well. I want to just call out one thing that I didn't realize, which is that Zach went to university for AV production.
That's awesome.
oh, I didn't know that.
That's very cool.
Oh, yes.
I also love to bake, which is a pretty well, what a lot of things people don't know that I've actually won baking and food competitions before with some of my baked goods. Logan will boast that apparently I make the best chocolate chip cookies he's ever had in his life. And there's been some talk about our upcoming sub drive in April, and maybe one of the things being a gift for people who subscribe to the network is being a cookbook for the network from different things. I know
sounds
Kyle is talking about putting a few things in there. Heather
I probably will
makes
too.
Heather makes an incredible teriyaki sauce that I'm hoping that she might put the recipe in there, but that's kind of
Jenny
proprietary.
might make its way in.
Jenny is an amazing cook. Her chicken pot pie
I've had
from
her chicken pot pie.
scratch.
Oh my god,
It's
so good.
yeah. I mean, I thought of one more thing, but I feel like it's really well-known knowledge. So I don't know, but ornithology,
Yep.
the study of
Yeah,
birds.
yeah,
I am
we were very-
a massive. Oh, also, I am also super into bugs, like beetles.
Me too.
That's just animals in general. Like I just really like animals, but specifically birds, bears, and trash animals.
Hi, Cupid.
Yes.
I love
Hi,
that.
Yes, Cupid says hi. Yes, I also like that's why the chitin became a thing.
Bugs are fucking cool, dude. Like, oh man, animals are so fucking cool, guys.
I have an obsession of ferrets, and I made an offhanded joke about making a race out of them, and then the Feroce were born. And now we have Pip.
I had pitched an idea to Angela about another homebrew race. I don't know if she shared it with anyone, but they were essentially bipedal possums. Mostly because I'm obsessed with possums. They're my favorite animal. I fucking love possums.
Yeah.
I spoke French in high school, thinking that it was going to be a good choice for California, where no one fucking speaks French anywhere. So
Listen, I took Mandarin Chinese for 3 years.
So I speak absolutely zero Spanish in a very Spanish-speaking area of California, and my French is pretty much gone. But I did do honors French camp.
On the topic of language, I have a huge interest in language, and I actually have a very good ear for language and accents. Every single accent I have ever learned has been done by ear. I fucking love language. I love fucking history. I just have a lot of interests, you guys.
Clearly.
I have a vast amount of knowledge. I have a basic amount of knowledge on a vast amount of subjects. That's a good way to put it.
Jack of all trades.
Me too. See Geek Thyself.
Geek Thyself.
Yeah, listen to Geek Thyself. That's just a good podcast in general.
If I was a D&D character, I'd probably be a Bardlock. Who is a fucking... I'd probably be a Bardlock. Let's be real. Pact of the Fae.
I would be a Bard Druid.
Bardlock, absolutely.
Who would you be, Heather?
I'd be a Cluid, a cleric druid in
that
real
makes
life.
sense. A Cluid.
Yeah.
Okay, but what races would you guys be?
Hang on, let's get the Gabbies first.
I can't think of a multi-class option. I mostly see myself Bard, I guess. But maybe with a bit of Rogue. Bard Rogue. Maybe a bit of that. And I see myself as a tiefling.
Yep, clearly.
Heather also did martial arts, and we joke about the fact that Heather can kick all of our asses, but she really can.
Yeah,
She absolutely could destroy any one of us, I'm pretty sure.
I did martial arts and gymnastics when I was a kid, and I took Japanese and ASL, but I'm sorely out of practice of both.
On the topic of D&D, I'd probably be an Azimar. Because I'm obsessed with...
I would be a halfling.
I have 3 Azimar PCs.
You'd be a what?
I'd be a halfling.
Oh, yeah.
Heather, I think you'd be a tabaxi, am I correct?
I was gonna say, anyone have a guess?
Oh, she's just looking Look at her go!
Yeah, this is my life.
I love when we go into these parts of the conversations. They're fun.
Do you have a D&D race that you would be, Gabby?
Tiefling.
Oh, I didn't hear. I'm so sorry. I was distracted.
Yeah,
I kind of want
to show off my devilish good luck.
Yes, bitch.
Indeed.
That was a
Gorgeous.
pun.
You know,
no,
you're gorgeous. You're gorgeous.
Oh,
You're gorgeous. Don't
absolutely
take
are.
it back. You can't take it
Okay,
back.
we're on
Yes,
stream.
we are.
Let's not
Oh,
do this
yeah,
right
we
now.
are doing this on stream. You're beautiful.
No.
I love you. Love you, you're...
All right, guys. Well, it is 10:30, so this has been an extra long Countless Chronicles for you all. I apologize if we didn't manage to get to your question, but I think we got through all of them, so I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and ping Logan, who is thankfully being super awesome and doing all of our production behind the scenes right now, producing the stream, handling stuff, being amazing as in general. He deserves some huge accolades for the amount of work that he's been doing.
Yes.
So I'm going to ping him really quickly, let him know we're about to end.
Yeah, Logan does so much for this stream, like so much behind the scenes, not just for that, but Nerdsmith in general.
Seriously.
He does a lot. Man,
He's
like I said,
fucking
OTP
incredible.
is Logan in sleep.
Yeah.
Logan
Yeah.
in sleep is absolutely my OTP. Maybe an OT3 with me in there. I think maybe possibly.
Fair. But yeah, just the amount of love and like all the planning that he did leading up to what we did, like all the pre-game stuff that we did for this, the current game stuff, all the plan. He just
Fucking
does
crazy.
110% effort, even more so in this. Oh,
we heard
you. Can I just say one last thing? Something that somebody said to me on Twitter earlier.
sure.
I posted about my name when I'm legally changing it, what I'm changing it to, and I. God, you're so fucking extra. Carry on, you funky little.
Yep, that's about right for you. That sounds that's about right.
Yeah.
Tieflings. All right. Well, since we don't really have a sign off for this show, I think that's going to be our sign off for tonight. Is carry on, you funky little tieflings, and we'll see you tomorrow on Countless Heroes, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next Countless Chronicles.
Good night, guys.
Ready for tomorrow?
Night,
yet?
guys.
Good night.
Bye.